Chapter 776. Tell that little bastard Lin Chun to come out and kneeled down to apologize. Damn it! You dare to rob people, but you don't dare to show your face? How come a spiritual state has such a piece of trash? What a scum. You motherf asterisk cur. Hurry up and get out here. Lin Chun, you're a F asterisk king sinner who has never been seen before and will never be seen again. You destroyed all the things that belong to the forces. You've committed a heinous crime. You're delaying the continuation of the martial arts civilization in the 9 states. Countless rebukes, curses, questions, and denunciations came from all directions. Even the residents of the spiritual state felt great pressure. These were the masters representing the 8 states, and their auras were magnificent. No, Big Brother Lin Chun is our savior. He's not a sinner. Some young people yelled for Lin Chun, but they were suppressed by the auras released by some battle emperors. The young people's faces turned red. Lin Chun had become the faith of the entire spiritual state. They couldn't allow these people to insult him. Seeing this, the people of the Fake God Alliance decided to wait and see what would happen. Facing the overwhelming curses, Lin Chun suddenly used the silent step and teleported 100,000 kilometers away. With a flash of 5-color dragon light, he stood in the center of the spiritual state with the 5 dragons' imperial spear in his hand. His clothes were torn, but his back was as straight as a battle spear. He stood proudly in the sky above the center of the spiritual state and faced all the questioning masters. People of the spiritual state stared at Lin Chun. Under the gazes of tens of thousands of people, Lin Chun said something shocking. A bunch of morons. I'm robbing people like you. Do you think I need you to question me? What's the point of bullying the weak? Come at me if you have the guts. His arrogant laughter spread outside the spiritual state, and countless masters' faces turned red in anger. Damn it! How arrogant! Beat him! Damn it! I don't believe that we can't beat him. You're the stinkiest rat in the history of the 9 states. So what if you're a genius? Do you know that you're destroying the martial arts civilization in the 9 states? Countless masters' murderous intents swept across the spiritual state. Lin Chun had broken down their massive amounts of cultivation methods, weapons, pills, pill recipes, and all sorts of other treasures. These treasures required an endless amount of time to accumulate. Lin Chun's actions had completely cut off their path of retreat. However, if Lin Chun had not done so, the Godslayer would not have been in its strongest state, and he would not have had enough attribute enhancement talents to fight a false god. There was no chance to save the 9 regions. All the people of the spiritual state froze, and even the masters of the Heavenly Song Academy froze in place. Lin Chun defeated the fake god and saved the 9 states, but he became the greatest sinner in history. The dean stared deeply at Lin Chun's back without saying anything. At this moment, this young student's back seemed so tall, as if he could carry the heavens and earth. In order to stop the fake god from invading the spiritual state, Lin Chun battled him in outer space. The masters of the 8 continents didn't know about the battle between Lin Chun and the fake god. Countless people of the spiritual state froze in place, and so did the masters of the Fake God Alliance. The setting sun slowly shone on the young man's face. The distant sky was filled with heaven-shaking battle cries as countless masters attacked him. With a profound look in his eyes and a smile on his lips, the young man looked into the distance, completely unconcerned. The scene seemed to be frozen at this moment, as if it were a scroll of history. All the people of the spiritual state froze in place. What was a hero? Selfless and selfless, moving forward with a heavy burden, defending righteousness and carrying history. What was a master? Caring for the universe, revering the heaven and earth, looking down on all living beings, and creating civilizations. However, the young man before them was a true master. He carried history and overthrew the era ruled by the fake god. All the invaders before him should have become the fake god's slaves or be killed by him. However, Lin Chun saved them and the 9 regions, but he became the worst sinner in the history of the 9 regions. However, he seemed to be so calm and unperturbed. He could take out the body of the fake god to prove his achievements. It would be irrefutable evidence whether or not people would believe him. However, he didn't want to do so. Even if he took it out, how many people would believe him? How many people would stop? Even if he carried the world on his back and was despised by the people in the world, he could still move forward with his head held high and not let them down. This was the heart of a true master. My heart is like a mirror, and my will follows my heart. At this moment, in the hearts of the people of the spiritual state, Lin Shen's figure emitted a dazzling and boundless godly light, as if he was holding up the heaven and earth. Like a god, he was imprinted in their hearts for eternity. Even the reclusive, old monsters of the fake god alliance who were his enemies couldn't help but exclaim inwardly, "This man is truly an unparalleled genius." Several breaths later, as if everyone had a tacit understanding, their furious roars and shouts resonated throughout the spiritual state. "Protect our savior! Ha ha ha! If you want to touch our hero, you have to get through us first." All the Battle Emperor Masters leaped into the air again and faced the reclusive factions of the 8 continents with no fear. To be able to follow an expert like Lin Shen in life, wasn't that an honor? Like a fairy floating in the clouds, Bai Ruoyan floated over with the wind and stood quietly by Lin Shen's side. Then, she held Lin Shen's hand with her jade-like hand. Bai Ruoyan smiled gently and said, "I'm willing to face the whole world with you. Even the dry seas and dry mountains can't stop me." Lin Shen held the beauty's soft hand tightly and said with a smile, "Although I'm the most handsome man in the 9 states, I feel like I'm so lucky to meet a fairy like Sister Roy." The two looked at each other and smiled as if they had remembered the first time they met. "Ha ha ha! If you want to fight, you have to count me, an old man who has been eliminated by time." The Academy Master's heroic smile shook the world. The Academy Master of the Heavenly Song Academy. This is the Saint Aura. The legend is true. He is a real Saint Realm Master. Countless masters were stupefied and dumbfounded. If there was a Saint Realm Master, the situation would be completely different. No wonder even the legendary Alliance of True Gods didn't dare to make a move. Before the first wave subsided, another wave came. At the moment when the 3 forces were present, the tectonic plates of the spiritual state began to shake violently without any warning. Tsunamis rose, and the space trembled. Many people lost their balance and fell to the ground. Something is wrong. Where's the fighting going? I don't think so. The tectonic plates of the spiritual state are shaking. The Battle Emperor Masters of the Alliance were shocked, but the Academy Masters' expression changed drastically. Not only the spiritual state, but also the heavenly state, the godly land, and the entire 9 states began to show signs of violent spatial tremors. Lin Shen's expression turned grim. His spirit energy vaguely sensed a murderous spirit that could destroy everything in the world. It seemed like it was about to wake up and rush out of the 9 states. Is it the 9 great demon eyes? Lin Shen was shocked. He had sensed this presence on the demon battlefield and in the secret chamber where the Academy Master was sleeping. It was the 9 great demon eyes. How can there be changes in the seals? Even if each state uses a saint artifact, it should be able to last for at least 1,000 years before it goes wrong. Cold sweat poured down the Academy Master's forehead. The Academy Master was usually calm in the face of everything, but now he was so flustered, which showed how serious the problem was. Only an existence above the Sage Realm could make a Sage Realm expert panic. Once the seals in any of the 9 great demon eyes were broken, the 9 states would face the real doomsday. There were countless demon kings and demon emperors in the Devil's Den, as well as a large number of demon monarchs and saint demon kings. The current foundation of the 9 prefectures was incomparable to that of the ancient era. The 9 prefectures could not compete with the number of demons in just one devil's eye. Lin Shen didn't notice that the purple-black demonic seal on his palm was flashing with light as if it was calling out to the demonic eye. Chapter 777. The 9 continents all had complete sane artifacts that could suppress the demon eyes. This was another method left behind by the ancient sages. The spiritual state had the heavenly spirit battle tower. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, the spiritual state experienced an upheaval of the demon eyes. In the end, only the Dean joined in the suppression of the demon eyes and sealed them. Now, the 9 demon eyes of the 9 continents were all going crazy. The situation was critical. Is the demon race going to rush out from inside? Lin Chen's eyes were sharp. He didn't have any orange-level talent. If the demon race came out, a few mid-level demon kings could restrain him. Bewilderment and fear began to spread throughout the 9 continents. Only the spiritual state's morale was strong. With Lin Chun here, many people were able to remain calm. However, they were confused about where this upheaval came from. It seems that we have to risk our lives. The dean stared at the heavenly spirit square and gritted his teeth. Shen Lianyun seemed to have sensed his expression, and her face turned pale. No, don't. While the 9 continents were trembling, a light and graceful voice with a hint of surprise and amazement sounded. The mortal world here gave birth to the primeval civilization and is connected to a demon race's nest. Interesting. Huh. Other than this little guy, there's another warrior saint bloodline? No, let's see. A beautiful woman in red arrived in the sky of the spiritual state, covered in red flames. The Dean and Lin Chen's expressions changed again. This woman was very powerful. At least, she was beyond Lin Chen's current knowledge. Saint Realm? No, those fake gods are far inferior to her. This was a powerful existence that could dominate the 9 continents by herself. Lin Chun instantly realized the gap between them. However, the Dean fell in a deep thought. Finally, the beautiful woman in red turned and stared at Bai Ruoyan. She shook her head and exclaimed, "Too perfect. There's someone in this world who can control the eternal sacred fire. No wonder she can perfectly match the Godly Flame Palace's Godly Flame Sutra." As soon as he said this, Lin Chun and Bai Ruoyan's hearts were in turmoil. This woman knew about Bai Ruoyan's Godly Flame Sutra. That was a genuine orange-tier, peerless mental cultivation method that Bai Ruoyan had coincidentally obtained from an auction in the cloud state. Even the 6 great false gods did not possess a true orange-tier combat skill, let alone an orange-tier mental cultivation technique. The Divine Flame Heart Sutra actually came from the power behind this woman, the Divine Flame Palace. While Lin Chun was still in shock, the beautiful woman in red saw the two of them holding hands tightly. Her eyebrows and the corners of her mouth curled up in joy. She nodded and praised, in a perfect match. Not bad, not bad. If these 2 sentences were true, it might cause an even greater uproar when it reached the Divine Flame Palace and the Sacred Boundary. This was because this red-dressed woman rarely praised any living being. "Little guy, what's your name?" The woman in red asked Lin Chun. He cupped his fists in a manner that was neither servile nor overbearing. "Junior Lin Chun greets Senior." "And Lin Chun, right? I saw your battle with the criminals of the holy prison. Not bad. Cultivate well." Lin Chen's eyebrows twitched. After seeing him shake the 6 great false gods and even kill them as a combat emperor, this woman could still comment on him so calmly. This woman was truly terrifying. "Ha, little fellow, there's no need to be surprised. The Saints' world has no lack of geniuses. The Saints' world has a history of billions of eras, and far too many extraordinary figures have appeared. Geniuses are like carps in a river. Someone like you might be very strong, but you're far from the strongest." As if she saw through Lin Chen's thoughts, the red-dressed woman laughed loudly. Then, she said, "I can suppress the rebellion in the nests of the devil race on this continent, but she and her must follow me back to the sacred boundary and enter the Divine Flame Palace." The woman in red pointed at Shun Lingshuang. She then raised her hand and casually lifted Shun Lingshuang into the air beside her. Lin Chen's heart suddenly sank. She wants to take Sister Ruoyan away? The negotiation was based on the situation where both parties were equal in strength. With the other party's strength, she could easily snatch Bai Ruoyan and shun Ling Shuang away. However, she still chose to negotiate with Lin Shun, which showed her sincerity. However, Lin Shun also had his own position. Just as Lin Shun was about to refuse, Bai Ruoyan beat him to it. Senior, I can go with you, but please help me suppress the devil race in the 9 continents. Sister Ruoyan, Lin Chen's body trembled. Bai Ruoyan stared at him, her beautiful eyes moving gently. She said softly, Brother Lin Shun, I lied to you. My Saint Flame has already begun to go out of my control. If I don't leave with her, I'm afraid it will soon go out of control. At that time, it will definitely endanger the 9 continents and even you. No, I don't want you to leave. Lin Chen's eyes turned red. He grabbed Bai Ruoyan's white wrist tightly. No one knew where the woman in red would take Bai Ruoyan. Where she coveted her Saint Flame or body. Who could guarantee where the godly Flame Palace was? Bai Ruoyan was both touched and conflicted. The woman in red spoke. Little guy, I know you're worried. Don't worry. With me here, no one in the palace can threaten her safety. On the contrary, after your little girlfriend comes to the godly Flame Palace, she will become the top genius in the sacred boundary. Her potential is immeasurable. If you have any doubts about the godly Flame Palace's actions, you can come to the sacred boundary. Lin Chen clenched his teeth. His eyes were bloodshot as he struggled in pain. Could she guarantee Sister Ruoyan's safety with just one word? No, Lin Shun, couldn't trust her. He didn't want to go through the same experience of being possessed by the spirit of Saint Flame. At this moment, the spiritual state began to shake violently again. Violent winds howled, and tsunamis rose to the sky. Lin Shun, we don't have any more time. The dean was sweating profusely. If Lin Shun continued, the seal of the demonic, I would be torn apart. Strength, I'm still not strong enough. Even if I don't agree, they can take Sister Ruoyan away with force. I'm still too weak. I can't even protect the people around me. It was the same with the demonic tribe, and it's the same now. Lin Shun made up his mind. After many ups and downs, he finally calmed down. Senior, I hope you will keep your promise. If anything happens to her, I will make the godly Flame Palace pay the price. Lin Chen's eyes were calm, as if he was talking about something normal, but the woman in red was stunned. A moment later, the woman in red laughed. Aha! Interesting, you are really interesting. If it weren't for the fact that the godly Flame Palace doesn't accept male disciples, I would really like to see how far you can go in the future. How many years had it been? There weren't many people in the sacred boundary who dared to threaten her like this. This kid was just a battle Emperor Realm warrior. He was like a newborn calf that wasn't afraid of tiger. Well, you're a brave little guy. It seems that our agreement is in place. The woman in red raised her jade-like hand, and streaks of red light and red flames that were tens of thousands of meters long instantly condensed and turned into 9 red light mystic seals. They were the size of a palm and emitted an aura that could suppress the universe forever. It seemed that there was a whole universe hidden in the red light mystic seals, which made people's hearts palpitate. The woman in red frowned slightly, seeming to have used up some of her energy. Go! She flicked her jade-like finger, and the 9 red light mystic seals shot across the sky like shooting stars and disappeared instantly. One of the seals shot into the ground where the heavenly spirit battle tower used to be. The trembling of the 9 prefectures suddenly stopped. Chapter 778. The 9 demon eyes released a murderous aura that could destroy everything. It was as deep as the sea, shaking the seal until it cracked. Just as the murderous aura was about to break out of the eyes, a red light seal descended from the sky. It shone with a brilliant divine aura, forming a new seal that suppressed the demon eyes. Boom! Boom! The demon eyes trembled like a mouse that had seen a cat. The murderous aura quickly retreated. After the red light seal flew into the sky, in less than 3 breaths, all the demon eyes in the 9 prefectures stopped rioting. Everything fell silent, as if nothing had happened. This method was an eye-opener for everyone present. The dean was astonished and shocked. Lin Chen's heart was as heavy as a mountain, suppressing the 9 demon eyes and the 9 prefectures by herself. This kind of strength was too terrifying. Those battle emperors who wanted to seek revenge on Lin Chun did not even dare to breathe loudly. I wonder who is stronger between her and the mysterious person from the demon race. Lin Chun squinted his eyes and clenched his fists. All right, the seal is complete. There won't be any abnormalities for at least 100 years. This is the limit of what I can do for you. Little girl, come here. The woman in red beckoned to Bai Ruoyan. She was reluctant to leave Lin Chen's side. Her soft lips were like a dragonfly skimming the surface of the water as she lightly kissed Lin Chen's cheek before flying to the woman in red's side. Lin Chen frowned. Are you leaving immediately? Of course, I came here for her. However, this little girl is an unexpected gain. Moreover, the sacred boundary has a time order created by the gods. The flow of time is different from the mortal world. A year in the sacred boundary is equivalent to a month in the mortal world. Once these words were said, countless people were shocked. In a legendary sacred boundary, even the flow of time was completely different from that of the 9 prefectures. Little brother Lin Chun, if you're worried about me, you should come to the sacred boundary to pick me up earlier. Bai Ruoyan smiled sweetly. She did not want to see Lin Chen's sad expression. How could he not understand Sister Ruoyan's intention? He pretended to smile and said, Of course. I, the most handsome man in the 9 continents, will definitely make those geniuses from the sacred boundary feel ashamed. Then, Lin Chen looked at Shun Lingshuang and said with a smile, Little disciple, you also have to work hard on your cultivation. Shun Lingshuang pouted. She felt wronged and unhappy. You've always been concerned about your sister Ruoyan, but you've never cared about me. Where's my opinion? I have a fake master. By the way, Lingshuang, this is the mental cultivation method I left for you. Without saying a word, Lin Chen handed his jade slip of the 9 tribulations of creation to Shun Lingshuang. He had already sincerely decided to accept this girl as his disciple, so he naturally wouldn't keep it for himself. He had engraved the 9 tribulations of creation after the event. The mental cultivation method was a top purple rank, and because of its uniqueness, it could be improved. He did not want anyone else to become Shun Lingshuang's master. This female disciple of the martial sage bloodline, Lin Chun, must have her. In the end, Shun Lingshuang was still a little girl. Lin Chen's coaxing and laughter immediately amused her. After some explanation, Lin Chen also learned that among the spoils of war from killing the false god, there was a space transmission stone that could lead to the sacred boundary. When the woman in red was about to leave with the 2 girls, she smiled meaningfully at Lin Chun. Lin Chun, kid, although I can guarantee their safety, there are countless top geniuses in the sacred boundary. If you don't hurry up and become stronger, quickly come to my divine flame palace to take Bai Ruoyan away. Maybe one day, she will be proposed to by a top sage. If the elders of my divine flame palace agree, she might become the woman of another genius. Lin Chun was stunned and cursed. You King tricked me. Ha ha. Lin Chun, kid, I look forward to your performance in the sacred boundary. After the woman in red laughed, she instantly stepped into the air with the 2 girls and disappeared, leaving behind Lin Chun, whose mouth was twitching violently. Damn it, whoever dares to touch my sister Ruoyan, I'll smash them all. Lin Chen's eyes flashed with a strong fighting spirit and anger. Coincidentally, Lin Chun, who was in an extremely bad mood, held the 5 dragons' imperial spear in his hand and suddenly shouted at all the invading war emperors. Come on, a bunch of old bastards, I'm very unhappy now. Hurry up and get some idiots to come out, and let me beat them up. The war emperor's eyelids twitched wildly. You're crazy. The dean of the Heavenly Song Academy is still there, and a sage is guarding the scene. Who the hell wants to fight with you? In the end, all the invading war emperors fled, and the high-level experts of the Fake God Alliance were controlled. The hundreds of thousands of years of history of the Fake God Alliance finally came to an end. Lin Chen also immediately ordered the Alliance to build the 100 Sages Ancestral Hall, so that the world would forever remember the achievements of the 100 sages of the ancient times and not his, Lin Chen's, achievements. Lin Chen's magnanimity and plan made the inheritors of the Saint Tablet extremely touched. Lin Chen's actions were completely to prove the names of the 100 saints and sages of the ancient era, but he didn't care at all that he would be labeled as an eternal sinner. No one was unconvinced by such an open-minded and broad state of mind. However, Lin Chen, who had just finished the battle, fainted immediately after half a day of jumping. Fortunately, the dean was present. After checking, he only found that Lin Chen's mind was in a state of extreme tiredness, and he needed to rest for a period of time. Since Lin Chen sneaked into the firmament tower to take back the saint bloodline energy for the dean, he had not had a real rest. Before the arrival of the fake gods, he had been trying his best to become stronger and gain more attribute points. The continuous high-intensity battles with the 6 fake gods had pushed his mental strength to the limit. After Bairoyan's departure, he could not hold on any longer. During this time, no one disturbed Lin Chen. The spiritual state operated according to the dean's arrangement, mourning the deceased, recuperating, and dealing with the fake god alliance. The dean extracted the fate wheels of the reclusive old monsters and the few war emperors who were lucky enough to survive and made them into a special jade slip. This jade slip was connected to the fate wheels or natal palaces of the people who had surrendered to the fake gods. Half of their lives would be in the hands of the spiritual state alliance forever. If they were crushed, their cultivation strength would drop by 90%, which was more terrible than death. In addition, they had to listen to the alliance for 1,000 years before they could regain their freedom. They had to help the forces of the spiritual state and the heavenly state to fight against the fake gods and rebuild their families. 3 days after the battle, the firmament tower of the godly land released a message: hang the head of the fake gods and restore the history of the 100 saints. Lin Chen was the savior of the 9 states. The Tower Master took action himself. Since the woman in red suppressed the 9 demon eyes, he finally had the time to clean up the 9 states. His prestige was unrivaled in the 9 states. He testified for Lin Chen and led people to uncover the bad deeds of the fake gods in the 9 states, making the world aware of it. Some of the true gods' followers committed suicide, some accepted history, and some waited for a chance to take revenge, but they were all uprooted. Lin Chen's name was famous in the 9 states. Some people called him a sinner, some worshipped him as the savior of the 100 saints, and some people thought that history was divided into 2 parts, which were different from each other. All of these were the most legendary and brilliant strokes in the history of the 9 regions. The head of the fake gods that hung high in the firmament tower symbolized the arrival of a new era. As for whether Lin Chen was a sinner or a savior, it was up to the future generations to judge. In short, the 9 states had a new look under the joint management of the Alliance and the Tower Master. This time, Lin Chen was in a coma for a whole month. When he woke up, he would stir up another storm. Chapter 779. 1 month after the Great Battle, in a room. Yang Qing'er was wearing a green palace dress, looking like an elegant butterfly as she sat beside Lin Chen's bed. It's been a month, and you're still not awake. According to what that senior said, a year has passed in the sacred boundary. Yang Qing'er's beautiful eyes glowed as she stared at Lin Chen and mumbled to herself. Suddenly, Lin Chen on the bed reacted. He frowned and looked like he was struggling. He even started to mumble to himself. "No, don't leave me. You're awake?" Yang Qing'er hurried over to check on him. Lin Chen was sweating profusely as if he was having a nightmare. He subconsciously hugged Yang Qing, who went over to check on him. "Oh," the beauty moaned, but Lin Chen was still yelling in his nightmare. "Don't bring me a banana covered in cream." Yang Qing'er was speechless. What kind of dream is this guy having? I'm fine." After the nightmare, Lin Chen woke up and realized that he was hugging Yang Qing'er. The atmosphere was charming and awkward. Cough, cough, cough. That feels good. Lin Chen didn't know if there was something wrong with his brain. The words that came out of his mouth made young Qinger blush in embarrassment. No, no matter what, it's good that you're awake. The dean said that he will wait for you in the Qing palace. Yang Qinger's face was red as she ran out of the room like a frightened rabbit. Lin Chun touched his nose. There was still the lingering fragrance of the beauty beside the bed. She also took care of his basin and towel. Even his clothes were changed into a brand new white robe. It was hard to accept the kindness of a beauty. Hey, my spirit has reached the grand completion stage of the reaching heaven state. Lin Chun found a pleasant surprise. He didn't expect his spirit to break through the limit after passing out. Lin Chun didn't move immediately. Instead, he opened the system. Last time, he was in a hurry outside the starry sky, and his clone was cleaning up the battlefield in the spiritual state. He didn't know how many non-growth attribute light balls he had collected. Heavenly Tao Possession System, version 5. 0 host. Lin Chun cultivation level. Early stage, 8th level, War Emperor Realm. Intermediate battle chi essence, 35 billion points. Maximum strength, 9 million dragon power, talent boost, 9,500,000. Intermediate blood chi, 26. 5 billion points. Intermediate spiritual power, 2. 41 million points. In the great success phase of the heavenly arrival state. Intermediate cultivation method soul essence, 3. 5 billion points. Intermediate rune energy, 2. 1 billion points. Heaven's path points, 1. 4 billion. Talent points, 2 billion. Intermediate elemental energy, fire 8. 21 million points, earth 7. 9 million points with 7. 33 million points, metal 8. 2 million points, water 7. 3 million points, thunder 7. 5 million points, wind 7. 99 million points, light 5. 2 million points, darkness 5. 8 million points. Cultivation method status column, open. Bloodline status column, open. Passive talent column, open/not. Ultimate skills column, open/not. Active talent, blue rank. Stealing omen, blue rank. Fatal bloodlust, purple rank. Super dimensional teleportation, purple rank. Ultimate moment, purple rank. Ultimate return, purple rank. Sovereign's descent, quasi-orange rank. Absolute life and death, orange rank. Instant shadow fragment, 1/2. Characteristic rune column, open/not. Talent combination skill, fatal bloodlust, super dimensional teleportation, sovereign's descent, absolute life and death. Blank attribute, 350,000 points, can be converted to any attribute at will. 3. 5 billion cultivation method soul essences. There were also more than 1 billion talent points and 1 billion intermediate rune energy. The attribute points dropped by the false god were indeed heaven-defying. If it weren't for the side effects of the God Slayer, the value would be even higher. There were too many spoils of war this time, so Lin Chun had to check them one by one. First, there was a scroll of dark energy seal, which was the spoils of war from the false god. Special secret manual, innate shadow technique. It can hide in the dark void and hide one's aura. Even a saint wouldn't be able to detect one's aura when one's cultivation is high. Tyrant Mark, Sacred Sword. It's a pity that it's severely damaged and can't be used for the time being. Half-orange sword skill, Sword Fury Sky. It's a pity that one needs to be at least a First Tribulation Combat Emperor to be qualified to cultivate it. These 2 red blood crystals are very strange. They can't be refined or absorbed, so I can only keep them for now. It seems to be related to the dragon race. This red satin was also obtained from a false god. I have 2 pieces now, but I don't know how to use them. Other than the innate shadow technique that Lin Chun could cultivate, the other spoils of war couldn't be touched. Only the last piece of Tianyin odd crystal fragment was left. This odd crystal has evil energy. I might not be able to refine it with my strength. Secondly, in my 9 Tribulations creation cultivation method, the 9 Tribulations combat body doesn't belong to the battle chi. If I forcibly refine it, there might be a problem. Lin Chun frowned. He was really envious of the energy of this odd crystal. But this was an odd crystal with Een as its main attribute and water as its secondary attribute. The consequences of forcibly refining it were unknown, but I can try the decomposition function. Lin Chun activated the decomposition function and decomposed the odd crystal fragment. Consumed 28. 5 million heaven path points to decompose low-grade odd crystal fragment. Obtain special attribute values. Een evil energy, 5 million points. Intermediate water energy, 35 million points. Condensed attribute values were injected into Lin Chen's body. His water calamity battle body crazily surged with endless power, as if it was about to break through with irresistible force. Damn! 35 million intermediate water energy points. Lin Chun was almost scared to death. The average value of my 9 elements is only 7 million. Oh my god! The water calamity combat body's power has skyrocketed several times. It's much stronger than the other calamity combat bodies. The power of the odd crystal once again amazed Lin Chun. Yeah, the Een evil energy is the special attribute value of the blue rank sure kill skill, Tian Ice corrosion. Damn. After counting the spoils of war, Lin Chun began to count the gains from the attribute treasure chest. Purple rank passive talent, assault. If the host launches a sneak attack, the attack will be increased by 100%, 300%. If the host attacks from behind, the attack will be increased by 50%. Note, this talent determines whether there is a sneak attack effect. It depends on whether the sneak attack target has discovered the host or the host attack. It can be activated when one condition is met. Bloodline ability, Myriad Devouring Art, originated from the power of the immemorial Kuan Peng. It can devour everything and turn it into its own power. It can consume the technique essence to inherit. Low-grade spirit plant seed, clear jade tree seed. It can absorb the heaven and earth chi to cultivate spirit plants. There are also 10 golden saint origin coins. Lin Chun didn't know what this thing and the clear jade tree seed were for, but the gains this time were super bountiful. Assault can be combined with my heavenly invisibility rune. It will definitely play a role at the critical moment. If the innate shadow art I obtained is combined with this rune, it will be like adding wings to a tiger. The concealment secret manual combined with the assault talent was a perfect combination. System, I want to learn the myriad devouring art and the innate shadow art. Consuming 190 million mid-grade technique essence points. Starting to learn a specific technique and bloodline ability. Endless inheritance memories flooded into his mind. Lin Chun easily controlled them with his mind power at the great accomplishment stage of the Heaven Ascension state. He quickly integrated and connected them. In the past, even if Lin Chun had obtained these techniques, it would have been difficult for him to cultivate them. Just a massive number of technique essence points alone was enough to stop him from progressing further. Even after robbing all of Jiuzhou, Lin Chun had only obtained slightly more than 100 million mid-grade technique essence points. Now he had 5 billion points. This was all thanks to the fake god. The more dangerous the battle, the greater the opportunity for Lin Chun. Chapter 780. In less than 2 days, Lin Chun perfectly learned the 10,000 devouring bloodline ability and the innate shadow spell. In fact, Lin Chun could only learn this bloodline ability because he possessed the powerful double dragon bloodline. This bloodline ability was engraved in the genes of the bloodline, and it was not something an ordinary human could learn. If I can obtain a top-notch devouring bloodline attribute in the future, I might be able to unleash the 10,000 devouring to the extreme. Lin Chun silently savored this sacred art in his heart. Thereafter, he released the 2 headless bodies. The headless bodies sparkled with holy light. Even though they were sealed, there was still a holy light shining from the treasures. These were the 2 remaining fake god bodies. Lin Chun summoned the Dragon Emperor, activated the bloodline, and activated the 10,000 devouring. Roar! The dragon head breathed out and spun into a pitch black hole. The Dragon Emperor opened his mouth and swallowed the bodies of the two fake deities into the hole. Kaboom! Shockwaves surged out of the Dragon Emperor's body, and Lin Shen allowed the Dragon Emperor to activate the 10,000 devouring ability. That remnant pressure that belonged to the Saint Realm was finally eliminated by the 10,000 devouring. Under normal circumstances, this remnant Saint aura was enough to explode any level 7 ferocious beast. Success. This ability can devour any energy regardless of rank. It really works. Even though the two fake god bodies had their holy bloodline energy shattered, they were still great nourishment for the Dragon Emperor. Lin Shan was very satisfied after absorbing the Dragon Emperor into his body. Once he perfectly refined these two bodies, the Dragon Emperor would definitely reach a higher level, and he would have an additional cultivation path. In the Qing Palace, one person was kneeling and one person was standing. The one kneeling was the fake god Mo Tianji. When the woman in red from the Godly Flame Palace arrived at the spiritual state, he was thrown into the academy. He was only discovered by the dean when he was cleaning up the battlefield. The shock in his heart was no less than when he sealed the 9 demon eyes. Mo Tianji's cultivation was crippled, and his broken saintly body was sealed. The dean kept him here, waiting for Lin Shen to wake up and deal with him. Don't kill me. I know many of the sacred boundaries' secret treasures and saint treasures. I can take you there and help you recover your saint body. How about it? I'm also a saint-level fortune teller, so I can help you break through to the peak of your cultivation. Mo Tianji used a pleading tone to bewitch the dean. The hidden resentment in his eyes did not escape the dean's notice. He knew that if he allowed Lin Shen to deal with him, he would definitely die. After exchanging blows with this young man, he was fully aware of the strength of this young man's temperament and willpower. The corner of the dean's mouth curled up into a sneer. Suddenly, his eyes narrowed. Who is it? How dare you trespass into my Heavenly Song Academy? The dean's gaze fell on the corner beside the entrance of the Qing Palace Hall. He was surprised and suspicious. Ha, Dean, it's me. A dark shadow twisted in the darkness. Lin Shen slowly walked out. The president was shocked. This little guy had another fortuitous encounter? Even he could not see his exact whereabouts and aura. He did not even know when he entered the hall. He could only vaguely sense a trace of his aura. Lin Shen's mouth curled up. He had purposely released a trace of his aura for the dean to discover him. The innate shadow secret art is indeed amazing. Even the dean did not discover me. It's just that the speed at which it consumes the dark element battle chi is too terrifying. With my cultivation, I can only maintain it for half an hour. This guy's not dead. As Lin Shan was calculating in his mind, he saw Mo Tianji and immediately glared at him. When Mo Tianji saw Lin Shan, his heart skipped a beat. Dean, what's the situation? The dean shook his head and laughed. He briefly explained Mo Tianji's situation. Good boy, you almost got away. Lin Shan was alarmed. If Mo Tianji got away, there would be no end of trouble for the 9 prefectures. Even if he was on the verge of death, Lin Shen did not doubt the threat of a saint-level fortune teller. He was even more terrifying than a saint-level fortune teller. If he did not predict the future, the 6 fake gods would not know that the boundary-suppressing sacred steels of the spirit state were the least. If he did not observe the weakest areas of the 3 boundary-suppressing sacred steels, they would not have been able to break through the defense line of the spirit state so quickly. This showed the threat of a saint-level fortune teller. Lin Shen, don't kill me. We still have room for discussion. Mo Tianji hurriedly begged for mercy. Lin Shen went up and kicked him in the face. Discussion your head. F*CK. Starting a war, allying with the demon tribe to frame the 9 prefecture sages, deceiving the world and covering up history. You even created a fake god family to play with people's lives. It won't be enough even if I kill you 10,000 times. Lin Shen sealed most of his dragon power and violently beat Mo Tianji up. He beat Mo Tianji into a pig's head and made him cry out in pain. Then, he grabbed Mo Tianji and left the hall. The dean shook his head and laughed. Countless students and instructors gathered at the foot of the Cloud Mountain. The experts who died in the war were buried here. Some were the family heads of the ancient families, some were the elders and instructors of the academy, and some were young students. Their last wishes before they died in the war were surprisingly the same. If they could win the war, they wanted to be buried together with everyone who died in the war. A sea of flowers swayed, and the Cloud Mountain was covered with white chrysanthemums, forget-me-nots, and apricots. Countless people came here to pray and mourn for these warriors. Suddenly, the quiet Cloud Mountain was shrouded in a commotion. Everyone looked over, and their expressions changed. It was Lin Chun. He dragged a blood-soaked figure with a terrified expression. Along the way, countless people saw that person's face and dragged him up to the peak of the Cloud Mountain. Standing on the peak of the Cloud Mountain, Lin Chun faced everyone and said loudly, "Everyone, this is one of the 6 fake gods who harmed the 9 prefectures. Today, I will use his blood to pay tribute to our fallen comrades." Lin Chen's words caused a huge commotion. This person was one of the famous fake gods? No, don't. Lin Chen, doing this won't do you any good. I still have many treasures in the sacred boundary. I can give them to you and help you break through to the Saint Realm, or even higher. If you kill me like this, it won't do you any good. Mo Tianji still didn't give up, but he was really anxious this time. He had lived for millions of years, but he couldn't figure out what Lin Chun was thinking. Why did he have to kill him? There were no eternal enemies in this world, only eternal benefits. Could it be that the value and benefits of a Saint Realm fortune teller wasn't enough to exchange for his life? He didn't understand. He really didn't understand. This time, everyone stared at Lin Chun on the peak of the Cloud Mountain. He held the Dragon Radiant saber in his hand, and his gaze was cold. In this world, there are things more important than benefits and power. Unfortunately, you won't understand because you're no longer human. Lin Chun looked at the Cloud Mountain and the mountains and rivers. He seemed to be talking to himself, but at the same time, he seemed to be talking to someone. Everyone, have a safe journey. I, Lin Chun, am not a savior. The 9 prefectures are lucky to have heroes like you. Thank you for protecting this continent. After he finished speaking, Lin Chun took a deep breath and raised his saber. He gathered his dragon power. Mo Tianji's pupil shrank. He regretted it. Why did he attack the 9 prefectures? Why did he provoke this guy? With his strength as a Saint Realm fortune teller, it should have been easy for him to calculate this fate. Unfortunately, Mo Tianji didn't know before he died that Lin Chun didn't belong to this world or this universe. His fate was empty. Apart from himself, no one could calculate his fate. Rumble. Chi. Terrifying waves of air surged as Lin Chun slashed down with his saber. Clang. The Dragon Radiance saber chopped off Mo Tianji's head. A crack appeared on the blade, and blood spilled on the peak of the Cloud Mountain. Everyone who witnessed this scene was in awe. Lin Chen's eyes were teary as he let out a deep breath. Elder Yuan, Elder Han Shuzi, have a safe journey. Lin Chun hung Mo Tianji's corpse and head high on the peak of the Cloud Mountain. He wanted to remember this history and remind the world not to forget this war. Chapter 781. The news of killing Mo Tianji spread throughout the 9 prefectures in just one day. Lin Chun said his final goodbyes to everyone in the academy. Little guy, are you sure you want to go to the sacred boundary so soon? The dean asked worriedly. He knew the dangers of the sacred boundary better than anyone in the 9 prefectures. It was a world where the martial arts civilization was at its peak. The 9 prefectures was just a drop in the ocean compared to it. In the dean's opinion, Lin Chen's talent was extraordinary. He could cultivate in the 9 prefectures for a while more before going up. Time doesn't wait for me. Everyone in class 66 has been up there for more than 2 months. They have been in the sacred boundary for more than 2 years. I have to hurry up. Lin Chen smiled. Then, he said seriously, moreover, just as you said, the danger of the 9 prefectures is not over yet. That's right. The survival of the 9 prefectures was still in danger. The woman from the Divine Flame Palace had only sealed the 9 demon eyes for 100 years. After 100 years, the demons in the demon's den could still rush out of the 9 prefectures. The only way to permanently seal the demon eyes was to use the special weapon in the sacred boundary's holy prison, the 9 nails. Only by going to the holy prison and inserting the 9 nails into the demon eyes could this problem be solved forever. Secondly, Lin Shan also needed to go to the holy prison to find the dean's friend, Ing Tianya, for the other incomplete part of the Tai Heaven concealing technique. Only he knew the whereabouts of the other incomplete parts of the technique. In order to become stronger, Lin Shan was determined to get the Tai Heaven concealing technique. Whether it was for the survival of the 9 prefectures or to become stronger in the future, Lin Shan had to go to the sacred boundary's holy prison. Above his head, there was still a mysterious person from the Devil Cultivator. He was at least as strong as the woman from the Divine Flame Palace. Moreover, Lin Shan was worried about Bai Ruoyan, Lung Yueqi, and the others. He couldn't wait any longer. Knowing that Lin Shan was leaving, everyone couldn't help but feel sad, especially Ling Ruxue, Mu Qinxiu, Nangong Yuyan, and other women who admired Lin Shan. Their hearts were filled with mixed feelings. Lin Shan took out a bronze mirror and said solemnly when he saw that the atmosphere in the hall had become somewhat tense, "Oh no, things might be a little serious." Everyone's heart skipped a beat. Could it be that something big was going to happen before he left? "What's wrong, little guy?" Shun Lianyun hurriedly asked. Lin Sun rubbed his chin and said seriously while looking at himself in the mirror, "I think I've become more handsome." "Oh no, with my handsomeness, if I go to the sacred boundary, how many women will suffer?" Everyone nearly fainted. Yang Qing and the other beauties couldn't help but burst into laughter. "Everyone, your handsome guy will definitely come back." Lin Shan crushed the sacred boundary space transmission stone that he had obtained from the false deity. A space radiance appeared above his head, and Lin Shan was sucked into it. Haha, let's wait quietly for the return of the legend of the 9 states. The dean sat in the hall and chuckled. Because of Lin Shan's outstanding performance in the battle with the false deity, he could live for at least another 500 years. Moreover, the Tower Master of the Firmament Pagoda would take care of the spiritual state, and the 9 states would be safe. The Void Passage was like a winding white dragon. Lin Shan was pulled by a mysterious force of space and swept out of the starry sky. In the space passage, the starry sky outside was clearly visible. There were flowing fire, falling stars, splitting wind, and some huge planets and continental plates. The vast starry sky was dazzling, and Lin Shan couldn't take it all in. These beautiful sceneries seemed to be right in front of him, but in fact, they were extremely far away. What Lin Shan saw might be the light they emitted millions of years ago. "I'm afraid it will take a while to arrive." Lin Shan wasn't surprised. The sacred boundary was extremely far away from the continents of the 9 states and other mortal worlds. He couldn't reach it in a short time. Finally, "I can update the system." He clicked on the system and saw the list on the screen. Estimated functions of version 6.0. Expansion of cultivation technique learning function. Can be used by others, etc. Added the most powerful strengthening function in history. Cultivation technique strengthening, combat weapon strengthening, mental cultivation technique strengthening. The highest level of strengthening can be plus 13. Added consumable attribute points, strengthening points, which can be used to strengthen functions. System requirements for version 6.0. 200 million intermediate cultivation technique essence, 50 million heavenly Tao points, 50 million talent points. Host, are you sure you want to update? Although Lin Shan didn't dare to say that he didn't care about these attribute points, he could afford them. Lin Shan wasn't arrogant. He knew that his 1 billion rune energy and talent points were his life-saving trump cards in the sacred boundary. Without the 2 orange grade talents, it would be extremely difficult for him to even face a 5 tribulation battle emperor. Yes, Lin Chen ordered. The system shut down, and a progress bar popped up. 0, 1%. 0, 2%. During the system update, Lin Chen took out a green seed. What exactly is this spiritual plant of fate? The green seed was called the clear jade tree seed. Lin Chen obtained it from a 5-light supreme treasure chest after killing a false god. The item from a treasure chest to this level was definitely extraordinary. Lin Chen tried watering it with spiritual water, piling up spiritual crystals and burning spiritual energy, but there was no significant effect. What the hell is this thing? Lin Chen felt a headache coming on. He felt like he had obtained a treasure, but didn't know what to do with it. He simply ran his mental cultivation technique and transferred a wisp of wood tribulation and water tribulation battle chi. Suddenly, the green seed shone brightly. There's a reaction? Lin Chen was shocked. This seed was absorbing his 9 tribulations battle chi. Lin Chen increased his strength and didn't feel tired at all. Time ticked by. During the time when the space passage moved to the sacred boundary, Lin Chen had been instilling his 9 tribulations battle chi into the clear jade tree seed. The speed at which the clear jade tree seed absorbed battle chi increased as it grew. During this time, Lin Chen even took a few pills because his battle chi was exhausted. In the end, he even used ultimate restoration 3 times. Finally, on the 15th day, the clear jade tree seed sprouted and gave birth to a green sprout. Damn it, it's only just sprouted after absorbing so much of my battle chi. If it grows into a tree, it'll take ages. Lin Chen's mouth twitched violently. Just as he was thinking about whether to continue feeding this prodigal thing, a dazzling light shone in front of him. When he turned to look, Lin Chen was stunned. It was an incomparably vast galaxy. No, to be precise, it was a little like a rotating astrolabe. There were countless spatial planes, planets, and continents in the astrolabe. With his purple gold eyes, Lin Chen could see some spatial latitude and longitude that connected the infinite planes together. At the center of the latitude and longitude was a vast star domain. That's the sacred boundary. Lin Chen was shocked. And in the star domain, the limit of what Lin Chen could see with his cultivation was the dark ancient tower with a murderous aura. It seemed to go straight to the 9 heavens like something from the desolate ancient civilization. Words couldn't describe its magnificence. At the top of the ancient tower, there were 2 large and fierce words engraved on it. Holy Prison. There seemed to be a few faint shadows of palaces standing on top of the ancient tower. Lin Chen could also see some shooting stars falling into the astrolabe from time to time. Those were living beings like him who had used the space transmission stone to go to the sacred boundary. Almost at the same time, when he saw the sacred boundary, a screen popped up in his mind. Heavenly Path Possessor System version 6.0 has been successfully updated. The system has been opened. New functions are now online. Chapter 782. The new version of the system had just been updated. The spatial tunnel fell rapidly, and Lin Chen lost his footing. He immediately put away the clear jade seed and activated 3-inch calamity. The falling speed became faster and faster. Finally, with a boom, a blinding white light illuminated the entire world. Lin Chen's defense was torn apart, and his robes were torn apart. Sacred Boundary, 36 regions. Mystic Region, Nantian House, in a deep and elegant palace. The upper-class lady, Nan Xingyun, sat on the windowsill in the palace. Her face was as cold as ice, and she was very unhappy. Her husband, who had married into the family, dared to suspect that she had cuckolded him, and even sent people to follow her. This time, I'll pretend to go back to my mother's home for 10 days. I want to see what kind of tricks he can play after marrying into the family. Nan Xingyun specially sent the maids away, leaving the palace empty. It was rare for her to calm down for a while. At this time, in Nantian House's jade tree garden, a spatial light beam broke open, and a certain Lin rolled out in a sorry state, his robes torn, and fell into the back garden. He couldn't help but curse. Damn it, This last step actually requires the use of holy power to enter the sacred boundary safely. Luckily, I reacted quickly and jumped out of the spatial tunnel in time. F***CK. Just as he finished cursing, he felt the space around him compress a lot, and the pressure on his body became even stronger. However, the strange phenomenon caused by space didn't attract Lin Chen's attention. Instead, the attribute light balls all over the ground in the garden attracted his attention. So many so big. This jade tree, I like it. Some of the attribute light balls in the garden were blue and white. This was the first time Lin Chen had seen a dual-colored attribute light ball. Lin Chen bent down to pick up the blue and white attribute light balls. The system screen popped up. Obtained 12 strengthening points. This is actually in strengthening point? Lin Chen was overjoyed, but he immediately realized the situation that he was in. He immediately activated the innate dark shadow spell and turned into a black shadow, disappearing without a trace. Who knows where this place is? I can't easily release the Azure Dragon. After collecting the attribute light balls, I'll leave. After hiding his aura, Lin Chen quickly collected the attribute light balls in the garden. The high attribute value made him wild with joy. Lin Chen picked them up all the way from the courtyard to the palace. Obtained 40,000 fire energy, 30,000 water energy, 60,000 wood energy, 30,000 metal energy, 99 million battle aura essence, 39 strengthening points, 150,000 talent points, obtained 200,000 cultivation technique soul essences, 100,000 heavenly Tao points, 10,000 mental energy points. The quality of these attribute light balls far exceeded the level of the harvest in the 9 regions. After collecting all the attribute light balls in the palace, Lin Chen discovered that he had arrived at a purple pavilion. The materials used to build the palace are not ordinary. They should be from a rich family. I've just arrived at the sacred boundary, so it would be best if I could find some information about the sacred boundary. It would be even better if I could find a map. Lin Chen pushed open the door and entered a secret room called the Purple Jade Room. In the main hall of the palace, a group of aggressive figures barged into the palace. The middle-aged man in the lead wore a green robe and had a cold expression on his face. Seeing this, the upper-class woman, Nan Qingyun, sneered. She slowly stood up and walked to the door. Hee, you found me so quickly? You even brought so many people with you? Nan Qingyun sneered when she saw that the maid outside the palace had been knocked out by him. Zhang Yunqi, have you forgotten your identity as the one who married in my family? How dare you behave so atrociously in my maiden home? Nan Qingyun glared at them with her almond-shaped eyes. Her aura was piercingly cold. She unleashed her 9th-level combat emperor cultivation, causing the group of people to stop in their tracks. The green-robed man, Zhang Yunqi, immediately put on a smile and said, "Madam, I'm just worried about you. This little maid doesn't know the rules and didn't let me in. I had no choice but to use force." Force? Are you in a hurry to see if I'm cheating on you? You sent people to follow me all the time? Nan Qingyun was burning with anger. Zhang Yunqi smiled apologetically and went over to hug his madam's slender waist. "Madam, don't be angry. A day as husband and wife means endless devotion for the rest of your life. Let's go back." After he finished speaking, Zhang Yunqi gave a signal to the other black-robed men beside him. 3 of them were about to rush into the palace. "All of you, stop right there." Nan Qingyun angrily rebuked the 3 of them. She pulled Zhang Yunqi's ear, causing the corner of his mouth to twitch in pain. Nan Qingyun pulled him into a room in the palace and sneered while pulling his ear. "Don't you like to catch adulterers? How can you let your subordinates do such a thing? Shouldn't I let you know personally? Come. Let me tell you. Do you know that there's a handsome man hiding in my palace? He's my kept man." After she finished speaking, Nan Qingyun pushed open the doors of the palace and brought Zhang Yunqi to each room. As she searched, she couldn't help but vent the anger in her heart. "You sent people to follow me for a few years, didn't you? Fine, I'll show you how handsome my little lover is today. Little lover, where are you? Where's my little lover?" Nan Qingyun released all the resentment that she had accumulated over the years after being followed. She laughed in a strange manner. Do you know, Zhang Yunqi? My male lover is handsome and carefree. He's tall and straight. He's handsome, but doesn't lose his youthfulness. He's handsome and flirtatious. He's young and elegant. Most importantly, he's also very good at fighting. He's a man that's 1 in a trillion. He's only 20 years old, and he's already a combat emperor. His talent is peerless, and he's also a body-refining emperor. His body's quality is really excellent. He can last for 3 days and 3 nights without rest. He can serve me so comfortably. TSK, TSK, TSK. That feeling, when a woman's temper flared up, she was a completely unreasonable creature. The corner of Zhang Yunqi's mouth twitched violently. The 3 subordinates behind him were crazily trying to hold back their laughter. However, they had received professional training and wouldn't easily laugh out loud. Nan Qingyun continued to mock and ridicule Zhang Yunqi as she dragged him to check every room in the palace. Zhang Yunqi took the opportunity to check them one by one. He didn't find any signs of life at all. Only then did he realize that his madam was just speaking in a fit of anger. Nan Qingyun pretended to suddenly realize something. Where's my little lover? He was just playing with me with his sexy little chest exposed. Where'd he go? Oh, he might be at the top of the palace. Zhang Yunqi immediately held onto his madam and said with a gentle expression, Madam, don't make a fuss. Normally, people don't climb so high. Nan Qingyun sneered in a strange manner. Who knows? What if he grew wings? Hurry up and climb up for me and find my little lover. Zhang Yunqi helplessly waved his hand and ordered the 3 men in black. You guys can go up. Slap. Nan Qingyun slapped Zhang Yunqi and a crisp sound rang out. Zhang Yunqi, you really have the face to ask people to go up, huh? Zhang Yunqi's eyelids twitched wildly as he forcefully suppressed his anger. He cursed in his heart as he smiled and said, Then I won't go up. Nan Qingyun sneered with her hands behind her back. How can that be? If you don't go up, how can you prove my innocence? Zhang Yunqi, the professional men in black were expressionless, but their breaths were slightly shaky. Finally, they reached the last purple jade room. Outside the room, Zhang Yunqi completely admitted defeat. He held onto his madam's hand and lowered his head. Okay. Madam, I was wrong. I was very wrong. I deserve to die. I was wrong. He was indeed a very suspicious man. However, his madam was still the person in charge of the entire organization. If he wanted to climb up, he still had to look at his madam's face. What did you do wrong? You didn't do anything wrong. You didn't even look at this room. How do you know that I didn't steal, man? Nan Qingyun was all smiles. You are an important person who will become the prefecture lord in 2 years. How can you be wrong? You didn't even look at this room. So how do you know that you were wrong? What if my little lover is in this room? There was no one in this purple jade room. Zhang Yunqi had already sensed it when he was 1,000 feet away. There was no aura of a living person at all. Seeing that his madam was still angry, Zhang Yunqi lowered his head and apologized. Madam, I really know that I was wrong this time. Please forgive me this time. Don't be angry anymore, okay? Clear Cloud Manor is still waiting for you to return and take charge of the situation. Nan Qingyun's expression finally softened a little. She sneered and said, Tell me, you were wrong? Zhang Yunqi smiled apologetically. My mistake was, before he could finish speaking, a young man's excited shout came from inside the purple jade room. This is too good. Zhang Yunqi was stunned. The 3 men in black laughed out loud. Nan Qingyun looked as if she had been struck by lightning. Her face was full of shock. In the next moment, Zhang Yunqi's face turned the color of pig poop as he gritted his teeth. My mistake was you stinky bee asterisk TCH. Chapter 783. Lin Shin snuck into Ziyu's room and was surprised to find 3 scrolls that introduced the foundations of the 36 regions of the sacred boundary. Lin Shin was engrossed in them after reading a little. The sects of the sacred boundary were divided into 9 grades. First grade was the weakest, and ninth grade was the strongest. There was also a third grade sect in the mystic realm, Iceheart Palace. Iceheart Palace was one of the sects that had sent an envoy to the 9 states. This sect had recruited Lung Yuechi and Sulan. What made Lin Shen even more ecstatic was an ancient book called The Conditions for Nurturing and Producing Spirit Plants of Providence. It recorded what exactly spirit plants of providence were. Spirit plants of providence were one of the most valuable spirit plants in the sacred boundary. There were so many experts in the sacred boundary that even the 36 regions of the 9 states could not compare to a third grade sect. The number of fourth grade sects in the sacred boundary and below was in the tens of thousands. What kind of concept was this? According to the common sense of the 9 states, the world did not have so many resources to support the birth of so many experts, and spirit plants of providence were the key to this. They were one of the main roots of the martial arts civilization in the sacred boundary. They could absorb the providence of heaven and earth in a small amount of energy to nourish their growth. After they grew, spirit plants of providence would produce a huge amount of resources, endless natural treasures, and top-notch medicinal herbs. Even the lowest low-grade spirit plants of providence could only be obtained by second-grade sects. Second-grade sects had at least one Saint Realm expert. The clear jade tree in Lin Shen's hand was the seed of a low-grade spirit plant of providence. As long as he could nourish it and grow it, Lin Shen would have enough cultivation resources to support the development of an entire second-grade or third-grade sect. It would be more than all the cultivation resources in the 9 states combined. This is too good. Lin Shen let out an excited roar. He did not even dare to think about it. He did not expect that killing a fake god would result in such a heaven-defying treasure. Damn, I was too complacent. I didn't even know that the Dark Calamity Battle Chi was used up. Lin Shen realized that the innate shadow art had been dispelled, and a monstrous, murderous aura filled the air outside the room. Bang! The door was blasted open, and a figure rushed straight at Lin Shen like a streak of light. Narrowing his eyes, Lin Shen activated his 9 Tribulations battle body, accumulated his 9,500,000 dragon power points, and punched back. Bang! Fist and palm collided. The palace shook, nearly collapsing. The shockwaves sent a massive number of books tumbling over. As their gazes met, Zhang Yunqi discovered that the youth's robes had been torn apart. Outside Ziyu's room, Nan Qingyun and the 3 black-clothed men were dumbfounded. Sizing him up a little, the young man's figure was tall and straight. Under the torn clothes, the streamlined muscles were faintly outlined, almost perfect. Looking at his face again, his eyebrows were like light feathers, and his eyes were like bright stars under the starry sky. There was a hint of a domineering aura between his brows, and there was a smile on the corner of his mouth. He was a handsome young man, but there was a bit of arrogance and wildness in his spirit. Even men would be jealous when they saw him. A battle emperor in his early 20s, and he is really a body-refining battle emperor who cultivates both battle and body. Zhang Yunqi was burning with jealousy. After the previous exchange, he had already sensed Lin Shen's pure strength, which was as strong as an ancient beast's. He was 100% sure that the gigolo was this kid. He really didn't expect that Nan Qingyun would dare to steal a man under his nose. She was actually so arrogant just now and even dared to bring him around the entire palace. Did she really not take him, who had married into her family, seriously? Nan Qingyun was confused. What was going on? She had clearly dismissed everyone in her palace. Why did such a talented young man sneak in? What was even more frightening was that he perfectly met all the conditions she had mentioned just now. What the hell? What the hell was going on in broad daylight? Seeing that the atmosphere was heavy, Lin Shen revealed a harmless and sunny smile. Well, brother, don't mind me. I was just passing by your head. Let's attack together and chop off this kid's limbs first. Lin Shen's mouth twitched violently. His purple phoenix wings flapped with purple flames, and he immediately used Silent Step to teleport. He instantly teleported out of Ziyu's room. F***. He really does have wings. The black-clothed man was shocked. Is this the time to be impressed? Chase after him. Zhang Yunqi waved his hand. Seeing the flustered Nan Xingyun, he sneered. You're playing a good show. I'll teach you a lesson when I get back. Nan Xingyun's face turned red. I didn't. Bullshit. You already have wings, and you're still telling me you didn't. F***. Lin Chun flew at a crazy speed, and the 3 9th-level combat emperors behind him were gradually shaken off. He had already obtained the information he wanted, so he couldn't stay here for long. He had just arrived at the sacred boundary and wasn't familiar with it yet. It wasn't the time to cause trouble. I'm currently in the mysterious territory's Azure Rainbow City, which is less than 8,000 li away from the Ice Heart Palace. I'll go there first to confirm Sister Yueqi's situation. To the south of Azure Rainbow City, the Ice Heart Palace was located in the Heavenly Frost Mountain Range. The terrain was blessed by the heavens and was rich in spirit chi. There were many palaces in the mountain range. The Ice Heart Palace was a third-grade sect with more than 1 million disciples and countless geniuses. There were even true disciples who were nominated for the Sacred Boundaries Genius Ranking. What? You said our senior sister Lung Yueqi is one of your people? F***. Little brother, how many cups did you drink last night? You wouldn't be this drunk if you just ate a dish. Get out of the way. My urine is yellow. I'll wake him up. You said you're Lin Chun? I've never heard of you. Ha. Where did this wild brat come from? Senior sister Lung Yueqi has the 9 absolute frost meridians and is a true disciple of our Ice Heart Palace. How can a wild brat like you know her? Are you trying to use her name to infiltrate our Ice Heart Palace and scheme against us? Get out of here. Don't ask for a beating. At the entrance of the mountain range, a few 9th-level Yuan venerate male disciples who were guarding the entrance sneered at Lin Dong, whose clothes were in tatters. F***. Didn't those **T sacred boundary messengers say that their forces will always welcome me? Why is this different from what they said? Lin Chun was speechless. Just as he was about to explain, a cold voice was heard. What's the matter? Why are you making such a ruckus? Clouds moved as a spirit crane arrived. 3 young men and women stood proudly on the back of the spirit crane. The young man in the lead carried a sword and had a cold and arrogant expression. Oh my God, it's a true disciple who has returned from mission. Senior brother Bing Tianzi is here as well. We are nominal disciples. Greetings, senior brother Bing Tianzi. The guards immediately cupped their fists respectfully. One of them pointed at Lin Chun and reported respectfully, Senior brother Bing Tianzi, this person said that senior sister Lung Yueqi is his woman. We were just about to teach him a lesson. Oh, Bing Tianzi raised his eyebrows as he scanned Lin Chun. His expression gradually turned cold. However, Lin Chun could see through him with a single glance. A late-stage, 8th-level combat emperor under the age of 400. The other 2 aren't weak either. The foundation of a third-grade sect is indeed as strong as recorded in the ancient books. Lin Chun thought to himself. Bing Tianzi leaped down with his 3-foot-long sword. Junior sister Lung Yueqi is a true disciple of our Ice Heart Palace. No one can humiliate her. Cripple your arms, cut off your tongue, kneel down and apologize. Then you can keep your life. The Ice Son of Heaven was being aggressive, but Lin Chun just casually laughed. Hey, you aren't as handsome as me. Why are you even more arrogant than me? Chapter 784. This person is quite interesting. The petite beauty on the spirit crane covered her mouth and laughed. Haha, this Prince of Ice clearly admires junior sister Lung Yueqi, but he wants to find an excuse to punish others. Another long-haired senior sister shook her head. Senior sister, should we help him? Don't worry, this person is not simple. The Prince of Ice wants to test him. In the sacred boundary, being handsome is useless. Don't think that you can be presumptuous here just because you have some brute strength. Today, I'll take care of you on behalf of junior sister Yueqi. Clang! The sword was unsheathed and turned into a dragon's roar. The cold light sealed 1,000 miles. The Prince of Ice was full of vigor and coldness. The unnamed disciples' expressions all changed. No one expected the Prince of Ice to draw his sword directly. He was a true disciple, and only true disciples of the same level could make him draw his sword. Clang! The five-colored dragon light entwined, and the five dragons' imperial spear blocked the sword, stirring up a wave of cold air. Cold crystals floated in the surroundings, and a group of unnamed disciples were directly sent flying by the aftershock. Lin Shun clicked his tongue in wonder. Drawing your sword as soon as you meet? You're really despicable enough. Oomph. You're indeed a body-refining barbarian. How dare you insult junior sister Yuechi? Die. Icicle 14 swords. The Prince of Ice could see that Lin Chen's body was extraordinary, but he didn't expect him to be able to use his own sword. The superior grade stage, 7 dragon ice sword in his hand, formed 5 ice sword flowers and suddenly stabbed toward 5 directions of Lin Shun. His attack was full of killing intent. What a showy swordsmanship. Break. Lin Shun was bold and domineering. The 5-color dragon's spear violently slashed down, and his spear technique was so domineering that it exploded the ice sword flowers. Although Lin Shun didn't cause trouble, he wasn't afraid of the other party making a move. He immediately turned the tables and rushed toward the Prince of Ice like an angry dragon flying into the sky. He used his spear technique to attack the Prince of Ice. Damn, is it true? He can actually fight against senior brother Prince of Ice? It's a body refinement emperor. His strength is very strong, and his spear technique is even more domineering. He's not inferior to many true disciples. The nominal disciple sucked in a breath of cold air. This brat looked like a beggar. Besides being handsome, there was nothing special about him. How could he fight evenly with a true disciple of the third-grade sect? The level 6 spirit crane was constantly pushed back by the aftershock of the battle. The two girls were shocked. To be able to fight evenly with the Prince of Ice with just pure strength and a spear technique. How amazing. It's not that simple. The Prince of Ice is one of junior sister Yu Qi's fanatical admirers. He won't let this go. He might use his top purple level sword art in this battle. Lin Shin did not intend to reveal his trump card. He did not even use the 9 calamities of creation mental cultivation method, let alone the 7 transformations. He wanted to test just how extraordinary this war emperor of the sacred boundary was. Clang! After receiving another attack, Lin Shin's heart skipped a beat. He immediately connected to the system. System, I want to activate the strengthening function to strengthen my weapon, the 5 Dragons Imperial Spear. Consumed 5 strengthening points. Strengthening plus 1 5 Dragons Imperial Spear successful. Power increase 10%. Consumed 8 strengthening points. Strengthening plus 2 5 Dragons Imperial Spear successful. Power increase 10%. Consumed 11 strengthening points. Lin Shun was still strengthening the 5 Dragons Imperial Spear while fighting with the Prince of Ice. In an instant, the battle had attracted the attention of hundreds of disciples who were passing by. Even the elders were alarmed. Where did this brat come from? He can actually fight with the Prince of Ice for more than 100 rounds. Interesting. Elder Mo Jingyu, who was standing at the top of the hall, was very curious. Consumed 69 strengthening points. Strengthening plus 11 5 Dragons Imperial Spear successful. Power increase 30%. Consumed 78 strengthening points. Strengthening failed. The level of strengthening remains unchanged. Consumed 78 strengthening points. Strengthening plus 12 5 Dragons Imperial Spear successful. Power increase 30%. Strengthening plus 12 successful. The grade of the 5 Dragons Imperial Spear did not increase. Within the 5-color dragon light, the tip of the spear had a dark green luster. Unable to take down Lin Shun after a long battle, the Prince of Ice's face turned red as if he had been humiliated. The aura of his sword surged as he roared. Ice Dragon Slaying Sword. The sword slashed horizontally, and the cold air rose. Streaks of ice battle chi swirled and condensed into an ice dragon head that was more than 100 feet long. The dragon head emitted a sharp sword aura and charged towards Lin Chun. Ice Dragon Slaughter. Isn't that senior brother Bing Tianzi's superior purple tier sword skill second only to that solitary frost sword art? What the hell? He can even use such a sword technique. How strong is this brat? Some of the disciples retreated more than 10 li. The ice dragon's aura was majestic and cold, causing countless people to tremble in fear. Under everyone's gaze, Lin Chen laughed loudly. Just an ice dragon sword technique break. Lin Chen's spear pierced through the air like a flying dragon. His pure strength created a killing aura, and a few streaks of dark calamity battle chi surged out, shattering the sword-light ice dragon. What? The Prince of Ice's expression changed slightly, and he retreated rapidly. Rip! A streak of moonlight flashed above the Prince of Ice's head. Lin Chun raised a spear and smashed it down furiously. Caught off guard, the Prince of Ice could only circulate his ice battle chi and block with his sword. Bang! Crack! The crisp sound of an explosion reverberated in everyone's ears. The Prince of Ice was sent flying by Lin Chen's spear. Along the way, he destroyed thousand-year-old ancient trees and fell to the ground with a boom, creating a huge crater. Hiss! Many of the disciples couldn't help but gasp. Senior Brother Ice Prince lost to a wild brat of unknown origin. Clang! When the sword light of the dragon ice sword dissipated and stabbed into the ground, many disciples felt their scalps go numb. A terrifying crack the size of 2 fingers appeared on the sword body, causing the entire sword to almost break and become useless. Some of the disciples who were good at forging couldn't help but rub their eyes, thinking that they had seen wrongly. I didn't see wrongly, right? It cracked? That's Senior Brother's Dragon Ice Sword. The superior grade Dragon Ice Sword is indestructible with the support of Senior Brother Ice Prince's Battle Chi. That guy's spear seems to be only superior grade level 7, right? The Dragon Ice Sword's light dimmed, which was the same as its owner vomiting blood. Everyone looked at the 5 Dragons' Imperial Spear again and saw that the spear body was flowing with 5-colored light. Its sharpness was unparalleled, and it didn't look like it was damaged at all. What the hell was going on? All the disciples were doubting their lives. The gap between top-notch weapons was huge for every grade. Even the difference of a grade's power was close to double the difference. A superior grade level 7 spear could break a superior grade level 7 sword? According to common sense, this situation was completely bullshit. Even the 2 girls on the spirit crane, who were also true disciples, were dumbfounded. Only Elder Mo Jingyu, who was at the top of the hall, stared at Lin Chen's golden spear body. The 5-color dragon light surrounding the spear body was the grade aura of a high-grade weapon. What attracted his attention was the dark green light at the tip of the spear. This light had appeared from nothing, then turned from green to green, and then to dark green. Although the grade of the weapon hadn't changed, its power had increased by 2 whole grades. Elder Mo Jingyu, who had witnessed the whole process, was shocked. Could it be that he can increase the power of the weapon without affecting its grade? I can't see through him. I can't see through him. Chapter 785. Lin Chun was pleasantly surprised by the power of the enhancement function. The highest enhancement of the enhancement function was plus 13. The enhancement of the 5 Dragons' Imperial Spear from plus 1 to plus 8 would increase its power by 10%. The enhancement would not change the original grade of the weapon. The increase in power was calculated based on the weapon's original grade. Plus 9 to plus 10 would increase the power by 15%. Plus 11 to plus 12 would increase the power by 30%. The 5 Dragons' Imperial Spear that had been enhanced to plus 12 would increase its power by 170%. Its power had increased by almost 2 times. Other than that, Lin Chun could also enhance his cultivation techniques, pills, and herbs. As long as he had enough enhancement points, he could enhance them all, as expected of one of the system's strongest functions. I just completed the update after arriving at the sacred boundary. Since there are so many people here, I have to find a secluded place to study the system's functions. Just as Lin Shan made up his mind, the Ice Son of Heaven stood up and glared at Lin Shan with hatred and resentment. He wanted to fight with Lin Shan again. Class Monitor Lin Shan, with a delicate cry, two beautiful women flew over from the sky at an extremely fast speed. They looked like pure white swans as they floated in the air. Lin Shan looked at them and saw that they were old friends. Lin Shan, hearing this name, Mo Jingyu trembled and muttered to himself in shock. Could he be the real legend of the mortal world? Some of the honorary disciples were astonished. It's senior sister Su Lan and senior sister Su Lan. Heavens, am I seeing things? Aren't the two senior sisters second only to senior sister Lung Yueqi? It's said that they are not interested in men. They actually smiled at this wild brat. The two sisters landed beside Lin Shan and were overjoyed. Their arrogance and coldness in the Ice Heart Palace were all gone. The younger sister, Su Lan, was very cute, while the older sister's smile was as gentle as the snow in spring. Class Monitor, how did you get up here? How are things in the 9 continents? Su Lan was like a lively sparrow, chirping around Lin Shan as she inquired. The Ice Prince's expression was blank as he stood rooted to the ground. He had tried to approach Lung Yueqi, but was rejected. Later, he found out that the two sisters had an unusual relationship with Lung Yueqi. When he wanted to approach them, none of them had a good expression. They were as cold as an iceberg. There were even rumors that they were not interested in men at all. The two ice goddesses in the hearts of countless disciples were actually smiling at a strange man. For a time, the male disciples present found it hard to accept this reality. Seeing the two girls again, Lin Shan was happy in his heart. They had both become war emperors. Furthermore, he was a 5th-level combat emperor. According to the time in the sacred boundary, they had been away from the 9 prefectures for nearly 3 months, but they had been in the sacred boundary for less than 3 years. Yet, they had already climbed to this level. This speed was second only to Lin Shan's growth in the 9 prefectures. All right, this matter ends here. We're all friends. It's just a misunderstanding. Elder Mo Jingyu stepped out of the hall. Many disciples hurriedly made way for him and greeted Elder Mo. Lin Shan narrowed his eyes. This old man was very strong. He was at least a 3rd tribulation combat emperor. Little guy, are you Lin Shan? Mo Jingyu stroked his beard and asked with a smile. Lin Shan nodded and smiled. Yes, I am. Not bad, not bad. You're indeed a dragon among men. No wonder that girl personally warned us. It's been 3 years, and we've been so busy that we've forgotten about it. I hope Lin Shan won't take the previous conflict to heart. Mo Jingyu smiled apologetically. He had almost offended this great god. This was an innate genius that could alarm the grand elders of the Ice Palace. He had also heard some insider news. It was said that this great god had alarmed a few grand elders to come to the mortal world to recruit this boy. Unexpectedly, they were all unsuccessful. It said that the mortal world has the holy prison, and those criminals covet it. This boy was able to arrive there safely. Could it be? Mo Jingyu was an old fox. He immediately realized the crux of the matter. His expression softened as he tried to curry favor with Lin Shan. He even treated him as an honored guest of the Ice Heart Palace. Wait a minute. I'm not convinced. Elder Mo, this boy is just a nobody. How can he be an honored guest of the Ice Heart Palace? The Ice Son of Heaven angrily rebuked. Many male disciples also looked over with indignation. Lin Shan whistled at the two girls beside him. You two are really charming. If so many people were to fight, I wouldn't be able to beat them. Su Lan flirtatiously rolled her eyes at him. Su Lan covered her mouth and giggled, her delicate ears blushing. Seeing Lin Shan and the two ice goddesses flirting with each other, the male disciples couldn't help but grit their teeth. Lin Shan is our Ice Heart Palace's honored guest. This is the decision of the Elder Council, not something you and I can make. Or do you want to fight him again? Let's see who will be more embarrassed. Mo Jingyu glanced at him. The latter's body trembled, but he gritted his teeth and left with the Dragon Eye sword. Anyone with a discerning eye could see that Lin Shun had won the previous battle with ease. Even if he used his strongest sword technique, it was very likely that he would only be humiliating himself. Lin Shun, this way please. Elder Mo Jingyu led the way, and Lin Shun and Su Lan followed closely behind. The eyes of the two girls on the spirit crane lit up. So it's him, the Lin Shun that the Elder Council mentioned before. No wonder he could defeat the Ice Son of Heaven so easily, as expected of an existence valued by the upper echelons. It seems like a huge wave is about to sweep through the palace. As soon as Lin Shun entered the Ice Heart Palace, the air and ground were filled with attribute light balls. He ignored the strange gazes of others and picked them up madly, his attributes soaring. Seeing him pick up the air and the ground as soon as he entered the Ice Heart Palace, Missouri Jingyu's mouth twitched. If he hadn't seen him defeat the Ice Son of Heaven with his own eyes, he would have thought that he was a beggar entering the palace. Entering the palace? That night, after a certain Lin Shun went on a shopping spree, Mo Jingyu finally managed to arrange Lin Chen's accommodations with much difficulty. He even admitted that Lin Shun would be staying here for a period of time as he had to report Lin Chen's arrival to the higher-ups. At Lin Chen's residence. Inside the room, Lin Chen listened to the two girls talk about their experiences in the sacred boundary over the past 2 years. Teacher Lung Yueqi has become a top true disciple and is currently in seclusion. In a few days, she will participate in the Blue Moon Secret Realm trial. That is a place that only top true disciples can go. Class monitor, you might have to wait a few months before you can see teacher. After listening to Su Lan's story, Lin Shun fell silent. He still had to wait a few months? Actually, there's another method that isn't really a method. The two of us will pass the test 3 days later and become Blue Class True Disciples. Blue Class True Disciples will not only be able to enter the Blue Moon battlefield, but they will also be able to choose their own team members. Even if they are outsiders, they will be able to bring you into the Blue Moon battlefield. Su Lan giggled. Su Lan immediately rolled her eyes at her younger sister. Stop fooling around. With our chances, the chances of us passing the test are less than 20%. It's too early to say that. Oh? Test? What kind of test? Lin Chen was curious. Chapter 786. Su Gang patiently explained. In 3 days, Ice Heart Palace will hold a disciple assessment. Those who pass the assessment will have a chance to raise their status and enjoy more benefits. The foundation of a third-grade sect was terrifyingly strong. They had more than 1 million disciples. According to the number of powerhouses, the number of powerhouses in a third-grade sect far exceeded the total number of powerhouses in the entire 9 provinces continent and Sky Tower combined. Ice Heart Palace was divided into registered disciples, Outer Hall, Inner Hall, True Disciples, and True Disciples were further divided into blue, and purple grades. Registered disciples could only do odd jobs and help with the low-level trifles of the sect. In any sect, they could only cultivate the public low-level blue to blue low-level cultivation techniques. Only by becoming an Outer Hall disciple or above could they receive the initial training of the sect. The disciple assessment was extremely strict, and the true disciple assessment was even more so. Mental cultivation techniques, temperament, and combat power were all comprehensively tested. Temperament training is not a problem for Lan and me. The problem is the cultivation of the mental cultivation technique and the combat power assessment. These 2 tests are extremely difficult. You have to cultivate your mental cultivation technique to the 5th layer at the very least. The 2 of us are only at the 3rd layer now. Su Gang shook her head. She didn't have much hope for this assessment. No, I can help you. Suddenly, a certain Lin excitedly grabbed the sister's soft hands, startling the beauty's hearts to flutter. As long as he could help the 2 of them become true disciples, he would be able to see Master Yueqi immediately. Lin Chen didn't plan to hold back. His system's various new functions were already starting to activate. Leave this matter to me. I will make the two of you orgasm together. Lin Chen's eyes flickered with excitement, making the two girls ashamed and angry. What was he trying to do? Over the next 2 days, Ice Heart Palace was filled with rumors about Lin Chen. In particular, the two legendary ice beauties, Goddess Su Lan and Goddess Su Lan, had stayed at his resting place for 2 days and 2 nights without coming out. This confirmed the authenticity of the countless rumors. During this time, Lin Chen truly understood the magnificence of the Sacred Boundaries civilization. In the Sacred Boundary, there were many sages, war emperors, and Yuan venerates everywhere. Babies born in the Sacred Boundary were nourished by the Sacred Boundary's innate Saint Qi. Almost all of them were born in the spirit channeling state. When they were 10 years old, they came into contact with the secular world and were tainted by the earth Qi. After reaching adulthood, most of them would be able to enter the Heaven Dipper realm. Because the order of time was different from the order of space, the Sacred Boundary required one to reach the Yuan Venerate realm before one could grasp the basics of space and fly in the air. However, the stability of space was extremely strong. Even a 5-calamity Battle Emperor could not tear the space crystal wall of the Sacred Boundary. Only saints could tear apart the space of the Sacred Boundary. Lin Chen's Azure Dragon was 80,000 zhang long in the 9 prefectures, like a mountain range coiling in the sky. However, in the Sacred Boundary, due to the influence of the order of space, it might only be a few dozen zhang long. But there was no doubt that this was a world with a higher level of martial arts civilization. It was an even more magnificent great world. Any random corner of the Sacred Boundary had more experts than all the experts in the 9 prefectures. In the secret chamber, when the two sisters opened their beautiful eyes, a cold glint flashed across their pupils. When they looked at Lin Chen again, their eyes were filled with shock, astonishment, and disbelief. Class Monitor, are you the reincarnation of a legendary sage ruler? Su Lan stared at Lin Chen's back with admiration and longing. Lin Chen pretended to be profound and sighed. How could a sage ruler be as handsome as me? Unfortunately, I can only help you a little. A little? Su Lan almost laughed out of anger. If other people knew what Lin Chen had done to them in the past 2 days, the entire Ice Heart Palace would be in an uproar. At night, outside the secret chamber, Su Lan seemed to have thought of something and asked Lin Chen, Class Monitor, you just arrived at the Sacred Boundary. Do you have any Silver Saint Origin coins with you? Most of the currency used by Battle Emperors in the Sacred Boundary is Silver Saint Origin coins. Su Lan opened her delicate palm and handed a few shiny silver coins to Lin Chen. The surface of the silver coin glowed with a silvery light, containing a unique energy fluctuation. Silver Saint Origin coins? What is this? Lin Chen's heart moved. He suddenly remembered that he didn't have any Silver Saint Origin coins, but he had 10 Gold Saint Origin coins. Class Monitor, you still don't know? In the Sacred Boundary, spirit crystals are only used by Battle Emperors and below. Everyone uses Silver Saint Origin coins. Silver Saint Origin coins are produced in the Sacred Boundary and have been tempered with a very faint amount of Saint Origin Qi. They have many wonderful uses. For example, adding Silver Saint Origin coins to the alchemy process can increase the spirituality and medicinal efficacy of the pills. It can also accelerate the efficiency and process of alchemy. It can also increase the success rate of forging top-grade weapons. Silver Saint Origin coins can also repair damaged weapons. These are all top cultivation resources that can't be found in the world of the 9 continents. Su Lan explained to Lin Chen with a smile. She also sighed. Most importantly, Silver Saint Origin coins can help cultivators break through bottlenecks. In the Sacred Boundary, people don't need to rely on breaking through life and death to break through to the Battle Emperor realm. As long as they have enough Silver Saint Origin coins and pills, no matter how talented they have a very high possibility of stepping into the Battle Emperor realm. Even if they fail, they won't die. Her words stirred up 1,000 waves in Lin Chen's heart. Hearing Su Lan's explanation, he was shocked. Silver Saint Origin coins could repair damaged weapons, increase the medicinal efficacy of pills, and even resolve the death of broken battle chi natal palaces and fate wheels. In the sacred boundary, cultivation was like burning money. As long as they had enough resources, even a pig could become a top expert. Silver Saint Origin coins are mainly produced from fortune spirit plants, heavenly rare ores, and so on. It's normal for you to be surprised. When we just arrived at the sacred boundary, we didn't have a good rest for a few days. Sulan chuckled as she stared at Lin Chen's shocked face. Silver Saint Origin coins have many uses. Gold Saint Origin coins, which are one grade higher, can even improve a person's intelligence and comprehension ability. It can also increase a person's learning speed by a few times. Of course, it's not on the same level as what you did for us, but it's true. Here, if you don't have Silver Saint Origin coins with you, you can use ours first. My sister and I get a monthly allowance of 100 Silver Saint Origin coins each. The Outer Palace disciples only get 1 Silver Saint Origin coin, and the Inner Palace disciples get 10 Silver Saint Origin coins each. With one hand on her waist, Sulan threw Lin Chun a dozen Silver Saint Origin coins with a smug look on her face, as if she was saying, "Big sister will provide for you." Lin Chun took the Silver Saint Origin coins and looked at them curiously. Then he took out his Dragon Glory saber. When he beheaded Mo Tianji, the edge of the saber had cracked. After all, it was the body of Saint. Even if his cultivation was destroyed, it wouldn't change the strength of his body. Lin Chun tried to put a Silver Saint Origin coin into the crack on the saber. With a flash of silver light, the Silver Saint Origin coin turned into a silver light and covered the saber. After a while, the crack miraculously healed itself. Oh my God, what a magical thing! Lin Chun was amazed. In the land of the 9 prefectures, one would need to find the same materials and hire a high-level blacksmith to repair the crack on the Dragon Glory. But in the sacred boundary, it only needed Silver Saint Origin coins. The Silver Saint Origin coins seemed to contain a kind of origin energy that could be converted into any kind of energy. This origin energy was used to repair the crack on the saber. Suddenly, Lin Shin smiled at the 2 girls and asked, "How many Silver Saint Origin coins can 1 Gold Saint Origin coin be exchanged for?" Gold Saint Origin coins have more uses. 1 Gold Saint Origin coin is worth 10,000 Silver Saint Origin coins. Sulan explained. Lin Chun was shocked. Does this mean that he has 100,000 Silver Saint Origin coins? Silver Saint Origin coins were the consumable resource of the entire sacred boundary. They were in short supply at any time. Lin Chun had just arrived at the sacred boundary, but he already had a lot of money. The 2 sisters were Scion-level direct disciples, but their annual allowance was only 2,400 Silver Saint Origin coins. Indeed, the items from the orange crystal treasure chests are all good. Lin Chun snickered in his mind as he put away the Silver Saint Origin coins that Sulan gave him. The next day, the disciple assessment was held in the east of the heavenly Frost Mountain Range. In the east of the mountain range, the glaciers were frozen. Endless snowstorms raged and formed a giant ice city. It was crystal clear and looked like a scene from a fairy tale. The heavenly Frost Mountain Range was even larger than the entire Spiritual State Alliance combined. Today, more than 700,000 disciples gathered here. It was a grand event. More than 500,000 people participated in the assessment. In the east, in the 3rd assessment venue, Lin Chun sat outside the venue with his legs crossed as he waited for the results of the 2 girls' assessment. "Is this the rumored VIP, Lin Chun? Didn't you say that he wanted to be a beggar? Why does he look so handsome?" "Humph, you don't know. When he entered our Ice Heart Palace, he went crazy and touched everywhere. Those who didn't know would think that he was a lunatic. I don't know what happened to the elders to take a liking to him. He defeated Senior Brother Ice, Son of Heaven, so he must be strong. Why are you jealous? The elders' experience is beyond our imagination. We don't have the right to question their decisions." Many people were talking about this through Battle Chi. Lin Shin overheard some of it and couldn't help but shake his head and laugh. At this moment, the 2 girls walked out of the assessment venue. Lin Shin narrowed his eyes. It seems that they have passed the temperament assessment. Next, is the mental cultivation method assessment. The mental cultivation method and combat strength assessment were the key to becoming a blue-level direct disciple. Chapter 787. That little guy is Lin Shen. I heard that the mortal world is related to the criminal from the Saint prison. This kid had gone through life and death with the 9 prefectures in the mortal world. Now that he has appeared, could it be that he can deal with the criminal from the Saint prison? What a young body refiner. He has already mastered 9 million dragon power at such a young age. Even this elder can't see through his battle chi. He is a very mysterious young man. 6 white-robed old men sat on the high platform of the 3rd examination ground. Most of them had the demeanor of a transcendent being and were ignorant of worldly affairs. They looked at Lin Shen and sized him up from time to time. That kid is Lin Shen? On the other side of the venue, a handsome man in a luxurious robe asked casually, "Yes, it's this kid. I hope senior brother can help me." A few days ago, the arrogant and insufferably arrogant Prince of Ice was now standing behind the handsome man, looking very much like that servant of his. His arrogance couldn't even be compared to this senior brother of his. Ji Qingming, a purple-ranked true disciple. There were more than 1 million disciples in the Ice Heart Palace, but less than 100 of them were able to become purple-ranked true disciples. What was more frightening was that Ji Qingming had a battle record and title that most of the purple-ranked true disciples didn't have. He was on the Sacred Boundaries Genius List. The Sacred Boundaries Genius List was divided into 3 lists: Genius List, Monstrous Genius List, and Saint Talent List. No wonder the higher-ups asked Senior Sister Lan Xiao to descend to the mortal world. You do have some skills. That's a pretty good secret technique. You can hide your cultivation base well. 8th Layer Combat Emperor, a body refiner with 9 million dragon power, Ji Qingming had seen through Lin Shen's background with a casual glance. Although he saw through Lin Shen's background, he didn't put Lin Shen in his eyes at all. Every genius on the Sacred Boundaries Genius List was a peak existence in the Sacred Boundary. If one didn't enter the Genius List, they would only be ordinary geniuses. No matter how strong that kid is, he can't be compared to senior brother Qingming, the Prince of Ice agreed. Ji Qingming smiled. No matter how strong one's talent is, he still needs a force to support him. Plus, what's the use of having such great potential if he dies? Number 140 and 141, Cyan-class true disciples, Ling Xiaolon and Ling Xiaoyu, have passed the mental cultivation method test. When an old woman judge announced this, 2 young and beautiful true disciples jumped down from the dark green stairs. The 2 women had a dignified and elegant demeanor, and their appearances were 90% similar. They were actually a pair of twin sisters. The 2 girls passed the test and brushed past Sulan and her sister. The former sneered. "I didn't think that the cold faces you sisters usually put on were fake. Your lover injured the Prince of Ice. He's our senior brother, Ji Qingming's man. This debt is not so simple. The 2 of you better not pass the test. Otherwise, if you meet me in the final test, I will make it so that your pretentious face will never be able to recover." The elder sister, Ling Xiaolon, sneered. The younger sister, Ling Xiaoyu, covered her mouth and laughed softly. "Elder sister, you're too kind." The 2 of them have probably just reached the 3rd level of their mental cultivation method. It's already difficult for them to pass the mental cultivation method test. How can they have the right to fight with us? Sulan's brows furrowed slightly. Sulan replied calmly, "The 2 of us only used 2 years to cultivate our mental cultivation method to the 3rd realm. It's much better than some people who failed the mental cultivation method test more than 10 times. You?" Ling Xiaolon's face turned red. The Su sisters ignored the 2 girls and stepped lightly onto the dark green ice stage like dancing butterflies. Sulan, begin the mental cultivation method test." The old woman judge's eyes flashed as she announced this, as usual. The 2 sisters stepped onto the ice stage in the test field. The stage was dark green, and the rising cold air was extremely cold. Snow fell from the air from time to time, and the chill was bone-chilling. As soon as they stepped onto the first step, the dark green mist slowly rose up, as if it could ignore the battle-cheese defense and penetrate into the Sioux sisters' bodies. The two girls skillfully operated their mental cultivation method and disintegrated the cold air, easily stepping onto the second ice stage. Prepare to reach the third stage. The minimum requirement for the test is to reach the fourth stage. The next step is the most important. The elders and the surrounding disciples watched attentively. After the commotion caused by Lin Chun, many people couldn't help but pay special attention to the Sioux sisters. The ice stage was divided into 9 stages and was used to test the mental cultivation method of a core disciple. Each stage corresponded to the 9 realms of Ice Heart Palace's core cultivation method, Proud 9 Heavens. This mental cultivation method was modified from a half-orange stage mental cultivation method by an ancestor of Ice Heart Palace. It was a top-level purple stage mental cultivation method. As for whether it was top-level low or top-level, it depended on one's cultivation realm. The Proud 9 Heavens was divided into 9 realms. The first 3 stages were beginner, the middle 3 stages were proficient, the last 2 stages were large success, and finally the 9th stage was perfection. Beginner was top-level low rank, proficient was middle rank, large success was high rank, and if one cultivated it to perfection, it would be a top-level purple stage mental cultivation method. The 9th stage perfection and the 3rd stage beginner were 2 completely different levels of mental cultivation methods. Only true disciples had the qualifications to cultivate the Proud 9 Heavens. Even at the entry level, it was already a top, low-grade, purple-tier mental cultivation method. This was enough to show disdain for countless mental cultivation methods. This was the foundation of a 3rd-grade sect. Only those who cultivated it to perfection would have the qualifications to cultivate Ice Heart Palace's half-orange stage core cultivation method. Lin Chen's lips curled upwards, as if he wasn't worried about this test at all. Under everyone's watchful eyes, the 2 girls stepped onto the 3rd ice stage, and the cold air suddenly rose. Many core disciples watched with rapt attention. The performance of the 2 girls on the 3rd stage would reveal their comprehension of the 3rd stage of the mental cultivation method. They seem to have energy to spare. Didn't they just reach the 3rd stage? How can they be so relaxed? The core disciples were stunned, and the Ling sisters were bewildered, bluffing. They must be pretending to be calm. Ling Xiaoyu sneered, but in the next moment, her face stiffened. Rumble. The originally cold venue became even colder. Gusts of cold wind blew, and many core disciples couldn't help but shiver. The 4th stage. The Sioux sisters stepped onto the 4th stage without any pressure. Prideful, cold 4th layer. Heart, ice spirit. The Sioux sisters looked at each other and smiled. A layer of green light flowed on their skin, and all the core disciples' expressions were very interesting. The Sioux sisters had only reached the 3rd stage 2 months ago. Most of the core disciples knew this, but in just 2 months, how could they reach the 4th stage by leaps and bounds? Mental cultivation methods were different from cultivation. Every stage represented a cultivator's comprehension of the mental cultivation method. It wasn't something that could be achieved in a short period of time. Impossible. They cheated. They must have cheated. Ling Xiaoyu screamed uncontrollably. She and her sister had gone through many trials for 3.5 years before reaching the 4th stage of the mental cultivation method. The Sioux sisters' talent wasn't top-notch, so how could they improve by leaps and bounds in just 2 months? Little girl, are you doubting this old woman's judgment and fairness? The old woman judge said coldly. Her cold gaze locked onto Ling Xiaoyu. Ling Xiaoyu felt as if she was in an ice prison, and her whole body trembled. Elder, Xiaoyu didn't mean to offend you. Ling Xiaolon immediately apologized. The old woman frowned and retracted her cultivation suppression. She sneered and said, "The elders here will judge whether or not they cheated. Since when is it your turn to speak nonsense? Ignorant child, back off." Chapter 788. The sisters had to suffer in silence. The younger sister, Ling Xiaoyu, glared at Su Lan and her sister on the stairs with hatred in her heart. "You two wretched bitches, you better not let us meet you in the final trial. With your 5th combat emperor cultivation, I will definitely cripple you." Stepping into the 4th floor was not enough to alarm the elders. Suddenly, the sleepy eyes of the several Ice Heart Palace elders and the old woman sitting on the stage suddenly became sharp and fierce. No, it's not that simple. As soon as the words were spoken, a green light shone and a chill rose. The snow in all directions turned into ice. Countless true disciples were dumbfounded. The two sisters had reached the 5th floor. The elders on the platform stared at the two girls for a long time. Then, one of them said in a trembling voice, "It seems that they can easily dissolve the cold chi of the 5th stage Ao Han." This problem was completely different. This proved that the two girls had reached the 5th stage Ao Han. They might even have reached the peak of the 5th stage. Ji Qingming squinted his eyes. The two girls reaching the 4th stage was nothing to him. However, if they reached the peak of the 5th stage, the problem was different. Back then, his results were only slightly better than the two girls. Breaking through 2 stages in 2 months? Is this possible? This kind of cultivation speed, perhaps only Lung Yu Qi can do it. Unless they use Golden Saint Origin coins to cultivate, but Golden Saint Origin coins are extremely valuable. Even the palace lord doesn't dare to use it casually. While the elders were guessing, only Elder Mo Jingyu looked at Lin Shun, who was sitting in the distance. He was calm and collected, with a smile on his face, as if everything was within his expectations. Could it be? That's impossible. This kid and the Su sisters have only met for 3 days. How could such a shocking change have occurred in 3 days? It should be another opportunity. Mo Jingyu laughed and shook his head. Maybe he was thinking too much. However, the next part was the main event. Su Lan smiled and stepped onto the 6th floor without any pressure. All the true disciples looked as if they had seen a ghost. The 6th floor corresponded to the 6th stage of the cultivation method. Breaking through 3 stages in 2 months? The later stage of the cultivation method was harder than the previous one. The later stages of cultivation were tens to hundreds of times more difficult than the early stages. The value of a top-grade purple tier mental cultivation technique was several times more precious than dozens of top-grade purple tier low-grade mental cultivation techniques. It could be said that the greater the difference in value between a top-notch low-grade mental cultivation technique and a top-notch mental cultivation technique, the greater the difficulty. However, to everyone's surprise, this was just the beginning. The two sisters held hands and went straight to the 7th level. The experienced elders were dumbfounded on the spot. A top true disciple genius. After entering Ice Heart Palace for less than 3 years, he had already reached the 7th stage of the heart cultivation method. His talent was definitely at the level of a purple grade true disciple. Bam! Ji Qingming crushed the teacup with his palm as a murderous look flashed across his eyes. I didn't expect the two of them to have advanced to this level. Interesting, Bing Tianzi, who was beside him, kept quiet out of fear and didn't dare to make a sound. When he looked at Thousand Frost Stage 9, he still revealed some shock. Oh my God, he hit it so well. 2 months ago, it was the elder who spread the news that the two sisters had cultivated to the 3rd level. How is this the 3rd level? F***CK. But why do they hide it until now? Wouldn't they be able to get the monthly allowance and cultivation resources of a high-grade true disciple earlier? There's no benefit for them to hide it. The heated discussion was like a tide as more and more disciples entered the venue. At this moment, the Su sisters had become the center of attention. Even the true disciples were filled with admiration, envy, jealousy, hatred, and dread. The elders on the stage were even more fanatical. The Su sisters' talent was probably second only to Lung Yueqi, who had the 9 Frost Absolute Meridians. At this moment, Lin Shan was sitting in the venue with a green jade cup in his hand. He used his battle chi to grind coffee beans and added spirit stones into the cup. The rich and fragrant coffee aroma filled the air, and Lin Chun took a sip with intoxication. Ah, it smells so good. As expected of my self-made coffee, it actually has 13 fragrances. Because the two sisters had reached the 7th level, the cold energy of Thousand Frost Stage 9 was stimulated to the peak. The vast and condensed ice energy surged out like a tide, and the terrifying cold energy caused an ice storm to blow in the venue, causing heavy snow to fall. Lin Qingyu stood up with a steaming green jade cup in his hand. The rich coffee aroma filled the air. Seeing Lin Chen's strange behavior, Ji Qingming narrowed his eyes. What is this kid trying to do? He walked slowly to the side of the venue and smiled at the sisters. The snow is not big enough. I want to drink snow-top coffee. Bigger. What the hell? Many true disciples were stunned. He actually wants the cold to be bigger? Could it be that he still thought that the two sisters could reach the 8th step? That was a level that only the top purple true disciples had the qualifications to reach. The Su sisters bowed elegantly and smiled. Their green eyes were watery as they replied obediently, "Okay." Their appearances and expressions were extremely similar to those of two lovey-dovey maids. The sisters advanced side by side and easily reached the 7th level, taking a step forward to a higher level. Could it really be possible? The elders on the stage suddenly straightened their backs and stood up as they stared at the 8th level with burning eyes. Boom, boom, whoosh. The cold increased by a large margin, and heavy snowflakes rolled up the entire venue. Even some outer palace disciples could not withstand the cold. The 8th level. The two sisters had really reached the 8th level. None of the true disciples present could do it. Only a few hundred people had the qualifications to reach this level. Ling Xiaolon and Ling Xiaolon's faces turned pale as they stood there in a daze, as if they had been struck by lightning. With the Su sisters' talent for reaching the 8th level, the difference between them was like the difference between sparrows and phoenixes. Their talent had surpassed Ji Qingming's in the past. Many purple true disciples could not compare to them. Who would have thought that our Ice Heart Palace would have 2 more prodigies who have the potential to enter the genius ranking? Tears streamed down the 2 old women's cheeks as they wept with joy. A few snowflakes floated into Lin Chen's green jade cup. He laughed loudly and said, "Not enough. Bigger." Everyone's hearts trembled. What kind of joke was this? They could go up again? Yes. The 2 girls smiled faintly and stood on the 8th level. They moved quickly, riding the wind like flying swallows. It was a beautiful sight. They broke through the 8th level and jumped onto the 9th level in one breath. Rumble. The snowstorm was like the roar of a giant dragon. The violent and cold snow was like an unprecedented storm, sweeping through the entire venue. Many outer palace disciples retreated in horror, not daring to watch anymore. The inner palace disciples hurriedly circulated their battle chi to resist. Only the true disciples were unaffected, but the shock on their faces was rarely seen in 100 years. The 9th level was the completion of a cultivation technique. Among the purple true disciples, only 8 could reach it. All the disciples were stunned. Su Lan and Ling Xiaolon had reached the top level just for Lin Chun. That was a realm that countless disciples yearned for even in their dreams to conquer. Reaching the 9th level meant that one had the qualifications to cultivate Ice Heart Palace's strongest half-orange grade cultivation technique. Being able to cultivate such a cultivation technique meant that one's future was bright. Some of the disciples were even more terrified when they thought about it. If the 2 girls were hiding their strength, then the latter, Lin Chun, was even more terrifying. They were willing to show their strength for Lin Chun, even adding a few snowflakes to his cup, to be able to subdue these 2 proud daughters of the heavens and make them obedient like little maids. Just how much ability did this fellow have to be able to do this to such an extent? Even the old referee was stunned for a moment. She then quickly shouted, "Su Lan, Su Lan's disciple has reached the 9th level of Ice Heart Palace." The result? is valid. The snowstorm blew, and everyone was shocked. Under the snowstorm, a handsome man stood in the front row of the venue. Lin Mao was holding a cup of Shui-top coffee made of snow. He pursed his lips and took a sip. He was very satisfied and very fragrant, very good. Chapter 789. Some of the more insightful core disciples couldn't help but stare at Lin Shen's back. The two women smiled at each other and floated down from the ninth step. The cold wave and ice storm dissipated. At this moment, everyone's faces were still filled with disbelief and shock. It was as if they were dreaming and had yet to recover from their shock. As the two women walked over, Su Lan asked with a smile, "How was it, class monitor? Our performance wasn't bad, right?" Su Lan put on a praise-me expression, which Lin Shen found a little funny. But it was expected. Many core disciples and elders' mouths twitched. Expected? Could it be that this little brat knew from the beginning that they had cultivated their heart technique to the ninth layer? Seeing Lin Shen's calm expression, the elders of Ice Heart Palace felt more and more that this young man was mysterious and incredible. These two girls were personally taught by this old lady. They had only cultivated to the third layer 2 months ago. Being able to break through to the ninth layer in such a short time must have something to do with this boy. But they've only met for a few days. That's impossible. Their shock was completely within Lin Shen's expectations. In the previous 2 days and nights, Lin Shen had activated the system's secret art study function, but not for himself, but for Su Lan and Su Lan. That's right, the new system version 6.0 had a new function. Lin Shen could use secret art soul essences to study secret art study function, which was applicable to other targets. Of course, this didn't mean that Lin Shen could use this function as he pleased. The price was that every time Lin Shen activated this function, he had to consume a large amount of heavenly Dao points. In addition, when the target wanted to learn a secret art, the amount of secret art soul essences required was double that of the hosts. For example, Lin Shen needed to consume 40 million secret art soul essences to learn a purple grade low-rank battle skill. But if he helped others learn it, he would need to consume 80 million mid-rank secret art soul essences. Secondly, this function could only be used by those closest to him or those he trusted. If other masters found out about this, it would cause a lot of trouble. Lin Shen spent a total of 210 million cultivation technique soul essences and 60 million heavenly Dao points to help the two girls learn the mental cultivation techniques, allowing them to fuse their cultivation memories and cultivate the mental cultivation techniques to perfection. On the one hand, if they passed the assessment, he could see Lung Yueqi as soon as possible. The second point was to help the two women grow stronger quickly. The sooner they showed their talents, the more resources they would receive from Ice Heart Palace. The foundation of a third-rank sect was countless times richer than that of the entire 9 prefectures. Under the nurturing of the sect, the two women had a chance to reach the Saint Realm in the future. This brat and these two women can't be left alive. Otherwise, these two women might even threaten my position in a few days. Although Ji Qingming's expression was calm, his heart was filled with killing intent. He wanted to get rid of Lin Shen and the Su sisters. While the elders were discussing the situation of the two women, Lin Shen made a startling suggestion. "Elders, I, Lin Fan, am very interested in the Frozen 9 Steps. I wonder if I can give it a try." As soon as these words were spoken, everyone was shocked. "I think this brat wants to open a dye house just because of some color. Isn't he too proud? Senior sister Su Lan and the others are about to reach the 9th step. Why is he trying to join in the fun? Ha ha! I think he came from corner and doesn't have any knowledge. He probably thinks that since senior sister Su Lan and the others can reach the 9th step with their 5th layer combat emperors, he can too. Sigh. It's really scary to be ignorant." Many of the inner palace disciples had mocking expressions on their faces. Even many of the blue and green true disciples shook their heads and laughed. This was really reckless. The Frozen 9 Steps was created specifically for those who cultivated mental cultivation methods. It was made from the nine-heart mysterious jade essence and contained a special cold energy. Only mental cultivation methods could break it. Unless one reached the peak of the fifth tribulation combat emperor, it was impossible to resist it with one's cultivation base. Maybe they admitted that Lin Chun had a great secret, but they believed in the uniqueness of the frozen 9 steps more. Lin Chun was asking for humiliation. Little brat, are you sure you want to try? You're not a disciple of the Ice Heart Palace. Even if you reach the high step, you won't get any rewards. However, if you fail, the cold energy will invade your body, and you will be bedridden for months or even years. The old woman on the platform hesitated and asked. Lin Chun smiled and said, "It's okay. This junior's knowledge is shallow. Today, I just want to broaden my horizons and experience it." The old woman in gray wanted to stop Lin Chun, but Mo Jingyu stopped her and secretly transmitted his voice to her. "Let him try. I feel that this brat is not simple. We can use this opportunity to test his depth and details." Mo Jingyu remembered that a few days ago, Lin Chun's battle spear suddenly became more powerful and attracted his attention. He even went to the ancient books to look for the reason. Maybe this brat had an ancient secret technique that could temporarily increase the power of a battle weapon. Then, good. If anything happens, you will be responsible for it. The old woman in gray shook her head and waved her hand to Lin Chun. Good. My Ice Heart Palace is not narrow-minded. Since Lin Chun wants to try, please go ahead. However, you will have to bear the consequences. The corners of Lin Chun's mouth curled up into a smile. He walked straight to the front of the frozen 1,000 steps. Every step was 10 feet wide and 50 feet long. It was grand and tall, and the first thing anyone would feel was the dense cold air that emanated from it. But in Lin Chun's eyes, it was an ice crystal step covered in attribute light balls. That's right. Lin Chun was aiming for the attribute light balls above the frozen 9 steps from the very beginning. These ice crystal steps had been there for 10,000 years, and countless true disciples and even elders of Ice Heart Palace had stepped on them. The remaining attribute light balls were dazzling and of high quality. Countless mockery, sarcasm, and ridicule sounded from all around. Almost everyone thought that Lin Chun was going to make a fool of himself. Ji Qingming had a bad premonition in his heart. He narrowed his eyes, which were as cold as swords, as if he wanted to see through everything about Lin Chun. Lin Chun lifted his leg and strode onto the first step. The moment the shocking cold energy emerged, Lin Chun smiled and circulated the 9 tribulations of creation in his heart, activating his water calamity battle body. Boom! The cold energy was like a dragon, but when it entered Lin Chun's body, it suddenly froze. Lin Chun, who was using the water calamity battle physique, felt as if there was a boundless ocean inside his body. Every meridian was flowing like a river. His battle chi was rolling like a raging wave, and the frigid chi was rushing into a boundless ocean. Then, the biting cold energy was quietly melted by the water calamity battle chi, like an iceberg melting into the sea. It melted and turned into threads of spirit chi that were refined and absorbed into Lin Chun's body. What was even more mysterious was that Lin Chun only circulated the water calamity battle body, and the attribute light balls in the ice crystal steps trembled slightly, as if they had sensed something and quickly rushed in Lin Chun's direction. Obtained 10,000 water-type energy, 10,000 water-type energy, 39. 99 million battle chi essences, 20,000 cultivation soul essences, 30,000 cultivation soul essences, 100,000 talent points, 12 strengthening points, 29 strengthening points, 10,000 spirit. Opened 4 purple crystal treasure chests. Received 20 rune evolution stones, 400 strengthening points. All the attribute light balls of proud cold's first step flowed into Lin Chun's body as he strolled leisurely, and his attributes skyrocketed. Seeing that Lin Chun was completely fine, the disciples in the venue were dumbfounded. What was going on? Could it be that 1,000 Frost Stage 9 was broken? Chapter 790. Why was the situation like this? How could the ninth step of Thousand Frost be ineffective against Lin Chun? This strange scene caused the hearts of countless people to palpitate. They could clearly feel the chill released by Glacial Ice Stage 9 entering Lin Chen's body. But he was completely fine. He even casually scooped up a mouthful of the Snowtop coffee and tasted it. Damn, did I see a ghost? He obviously didn't cultivate the Nine Heavens Proud Frost, nor is he a Fifth Tribulation Combat Emperor. How could he resist such a terrifying chill? Some of the Inner Palace disciples sucked in a breath of cold air, especially some of the arrogant disciples. They had not yet reached the proud Frost Nine Heavens and had once arrogantly stepped on 1,000 Frost Nine steps. But in the end, they were frozen into ice before they could even take 2 steps. If the elders hadn't saved them in time, they would have already died. While everyone was still in shock, Lin Chun had already started to walk to the second step. The second step was the same. A large number of attribute light balls were still being absorbed by Lin Chun. Ji Qing Ming and the elders were experienced. They saw a scene that ordinary disciples could not see. The moment the chill from the ninth step of Thousand Frost entered Lin Chen's body, it was quickly disintegrated by the strong water battle chi in his body. This kind of battle chi contained the terrifying power of the heavenly tribulation. It could disintegrate the chill from the ninth step of Thousand Frost. It was extremely terrifying. What a domineering physique. This kid actually has a heavenly tribulation combat body? No. This old man has seen a water-type heavenly tribulation combat body before, but this kid's blood doesn't show any signs of a special physique. This is a heavenly tribulation combat body created by a cultivation method. Cultivation method created? What kind of cultivation method is this to create a heavenly tribulation combat body? I'm afraid it's at least a top purple rank or above. All the elders were talking excitedly. Ji Qing Ming, who was waiting to watch a good show, shook his head and laughed. He had seen through the weakness of Lin Chen's cultivation method. It seems that it's just a slightly special cultivation method. If you dare to attack junior sister Yueqi, I will smash you into pieces. Ji Qing Ming was Lung Yueqi's #1 suitor in the Ice Heart Palace. I gained another 900+ points in a short while. Lin Chen was very satisfied. He continued to climb to the third step and continued to use his Water Calamity battle body to draw the attribute light balls in the ice crystal steps. La la la, la 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 la. A certain Lin was humming a tune and singing along the way. His steps were leisurely as he walked up the stairs without any pressure at all. Lin Chen's Water Calamity battle body was indeed weak against Thousand Frost Stage 9. To be more precise, it should be mutual promotion and restraint. Water and ice originated from the same source. If the water was stronger, then the water would melt the ice. If the ice was stronger, then the ice would seal the water. After Lin Chun killed the pseudo-god and obtained the odd crystal fragments, he obtained 35 million points of intermediate water energy. Now, his Water Calamity body had broken through 40 million points, allowing his Water Calamity body to advance by leaps and bounds, completely suppressing the cold energy of Qianhan rank 9 and melting it continuously. If Lin Chun only had 6 million points of intermediate water energy before, he would only be able to reach the 5th step at most. Any further, and his Water Calamity battle body would be sealed by the cold energy. But Lin Chen's water energy had broken through 5 million points, and was still climbing. When he reached the 8th step, his intermediate water energy had broken through 53 million points. And it seems that the 8th step is my limit at this stage. But I still have a backup plan. Lin Chen smiled casually. With a thought, he activated the ultimate moment. At the ultimate moment, the power of his cultivation technique doubled, his mental cultivation technique doubled, and his Calamity battle body doubled. Lin Chen's entire body was covered in green light, and the power of his Water Calamity battle body doubled. He had the same smile on his face as he slowly stepped onto the 9th step. Boom! At this moment, the wind howled in the venue, and the snow howled violently. The aggressive snowstorm rolled up ice flowers all over the sky, and a young man's silver robe fluttered loudly. The next moment, Lin Chun raised his snow-top coffee high up, revealed his usual coquettish smile, and shouted, "Come up and freeze yourself. I want to rub it on, lick it, and soak it." Walala, in an instant, snowflakes flew and ice crystals fell, decorating the jade cup like a work of art. Amidst the biting cold, Lin Chun did not seem to mind at all. He raised his green jade cup and took a few more ice crystal snowflakes, tasting a few mouthfuls. Like a tourist enjoying the scenery, he appeared so relaxed and comfortable, flirtatious but not romantic. All the true disciples present froze on the spot, the corners of their mouths twitching as they stared at Lin Chen's back in disbelief. The elders were so excited that their faces turned red. What kind of scene was that? They had witnessed countless prodigies trying to challenge the top of the frozen 9 steps and being frozen into ice again and again. Even a top purple ranked true disciple like Ji Qingming had taken 30 years to reach the 9th step after joining the Ice Heart Palace. But today, they actually saw someone drinking a small drink, singing, and taking a stroll while enjoying the scenery. Was this King fake? Su Lan and her sister were considered to have broken through, so the disciples could barely accept it. But what about Lin Chen? He really reached the 9th step? Some of the inner hall disciples opened their mouths wide and rubbed their eyes, thinking that they had seen wrongly. Lin Chen drank the coffee in his cup in one gulp and shrugged. His words almost made all the disciples sick from anger. This doesn't seem to be that difficult. CK. How is this not difficult? To be able to reach the top of Frozen 9 steps. The number of Ice Heart Palace disciples who had reached this level could be counted on 2 hands. How is this not difficult? Was this what a normal person would say? While talking and laughing, Lin Chun collected the 8 purple crystal treasure chests and all the attribute light balls on the 9th step and jumped down from Frozen 9 steps. Little fellow, you've really broadened our horizons. I wonder where your master came from. The old referee couldn't help but ask curiously. Lin Chun smiled and said, I don't belong to any sect. Learning from a master is the best. Hearing this, the old referee was overjoyed. Since he didn't belong to any sect, if she could recruit him in Ice Heart Palace, he would definitely be the next genius to enter the genius list. No wonder the elders came down to search for him. With this boy's background, he may even be able to challenge the genius list at this stage. In the future, he may even be able to enter the genius list. This Lin Chun must be treated well. When the assessment is over, let's see if we can recruit him into our Ice Heart Palace. The elders on the platform looked at each other and unanimously decided not to wait for the Grand Elders to return. They would recruit Lin Chun into the palace as soon as possible. With Su Lan, and Lin Chen's shocking performance, the following assessment was boring for everyone. Any dark horse that appeared seemed dull in front of Su Lan, and Lin Chen's shocking record of reaching the 9th step. The assessment continued. It was the final combat strength assessment for the true disciples. Coincidentally, only Su Lan and Ling Xiaolan were participating in the Blue Grade Promotion Blue Grade assessment this time. The combat strength assessment was a one-on-one duel or a team battle, with the winner advancing to the Blue Grade True Disciple rank. The duel would begin in an hour. Countless people moved to the 6th assessment venue, which was already packed with people. For this battle, most people were optimistic about Ling Xiaolan, but they were still looking forward to it because they wanted to see with their own eyes whether Su Lan and Ling Xiaolan had really reached the 9th layer. At the entrance of the assessment venue, Lin Chun, Su Lan, and Ling Xiaolan ran into Ji Qingming and Bing Tianzi. The two sides stared at each other, sparks flying in the air. You're called Lin Chun, right? Ji Qingming asked Lin Chun condescendingly. Lin Chun raised his brow and smiled mockingly. Do you have nothing better to do? If you already know, then why are you still asking? Ji Qingming's expression didn't change. Those who could enter the genius list were not simple people. He was wary of Su Lan and Ling Xiaolan's potential, but he didn't think that the two girls' breakthrough had much to do with Lin Shun. At most, he knew about it beforehand. Junior sister Yueqi is not someone a savage like you can match up to. If you know what's good for you, then scram. A mortal who can't even make it onto the genius ranking, don't think that you can deceive everyone just because he used a slightly special mental cultivation method to reach the 9th step of Thousand Frost. This is the holy world, not your barbarian land. Ji Qingming flicked his fingernails in an overbearing manner. His eyes flashed with piercing cold ice flowers, and the surrounding cold air suddenly surged. His late-stage 9th layer cultivation exploded like ripples. He had long seen through that Lin Shun was able to step onto Thousand Frost Stage 9 because of a special mental cultivation method. But cultivation techniques didn't completely represent one's strength. This kid couldn't enter Ji Qingming's eyes at all. Lin Shen's gaze became especially sharp. Although he hadn't done the deed with Sister Yueqi before, the two of them had already fallen in love with each other. They had also gone through many life-and-death situations and advanced hand-in-hand. Their hearts were connected, and no one could separate them. No matter who the other party was, they had no right to make him lower his head. "Remember my name? Ji Qing, scram. What does your dog name have to do with me?" Lin Shun directly spoke and pulled Su Lan and Ling Xiaolan into the assessment venue. Ji Qingming's veins popped out as he smiled slightly. "Very good. You have guts," he instructed Ling Xiaolan, who was beside him. "During the assessment later, if there's a chance, cripple his two women. I want him to see with his own eyes how his women are being killed." The two women bowed slightly, and the hatred in their eyes intensified. "Yes." Chapter 791. Lin Shun entered the arena, and the final test began after half an hour. Many of the matches between the inner and outer palace disciples were not as exciting as the true disciple promotion competition. Both of them were twin sisters. One was a 7th layer combat emperor, while the other was a 5th layer combat emperor. Both of them had a fortuitous encounter, and their mental cultivation technique had reached perfection. The battle between the two sisters was much more exciting than the battles of the other disciples. There were more than 200,000 disciples in the arena today. Lin Shun and Su Lan found a spacious seat and sat down. He seemed to have recalled something and asked the two sisters a question. "What is the genius ranking that the hothead mentioned?" The two sisters looked at each other, and Su Lan explained, "The genius ranking is one of the most valuable ranking lists in the sacred boundary. Only those of a certain age can enter it. There are countless sects in the 36 regions of the sacred boundary, and the number of geniuses is innumerable. However, there are only 100,000 spots in the genius ranking. Those who are able to enter the genius ranking all have boundless luck and opportunities. They also have countless trump cards. If an ordinary late 9th layer combat emperor were to fight against a late 9th layer combat emperor who is on the genius ranking, even if he wasn't instantly killed, he wouldn't be able to last more than 10 rounds. Su Lan's explanation caused Lin Shun to be surprised. According to Lin Shen's knowledge, the difference between a combat emperor of the same level, especially a late-stage combat emperor, wasn't very big. Unless one had a trump card like the fake god family, which had a trace of holy qi to create a fake saint body, only then would it be possible to surpass the fake god family. Geniuses of a genius ranking could instantly kill or even defeat opponents of the same level in a few rounds. Among the 100 purple-ranked true disciples of the Ice Heart Palace, only 3 can enter the genius ranking. Ji Qingming is one of them. Class monitor, although I don't like Ji Qingming's style, I have to admit that his strength is very strong. It's better if you don't clash with him in the near future. Su Lan's worries weren't unfounded. Any genius on the genius ranking was extremely dangerous. Lin Shen smiled and said, "Don't worry, I know what I'm doing." After chatting with the two sisters, Lin Shen learned more about the sacred boundary. 2 hours later, both sides finished resting and began to enter the arena. Ling Xiaolan and Ling Xiaoyu against Su Lan and Su Lan. Twin sisters against twin sisters. It was extremely pleasing to the eye. In terms of appearance, figure, and temperament, the Sioux sisters were much better than the Ling sisters. Unfortunately, their cultivation was too weak. Test venue number 6, within the vast arena that was tens of thousands of meters wide. The four women stood side by side, and the enchantment spread out. The old woman judge waved her hand down. Trial rule: fight until either side surrenders or is unable to continue fighting. The blue rank true inheritance test ceremony officially begins now. The rules of the assessment were simple and crude, but they contained the ulterior motives of Ice Heart Palace in cultivating their disciples. Even if there was a referee, there was still a chance of death. Only by experiencing these battles and overcoming these dangers would one be qualified to become a blue-rank true disciple and enjoy the higher benefits of the sect. Boom! TSK. In a split second, both sides operated the Nine Heavens Proud Frost Heart Sutra. 10,000 layers of cold air overlapped, like two ice storms colliding with each other. A biting cold wind blew within the barrier, and the outer palace disciples outside the barrier shuddered. Without the protection of the spatial enchantment, these outer palace disciples who had yet to reach the War Emperor level would instantly be frozen into ice. From the activation of the mental cultivation method, it could be seen that both sides had control over the proud Nine Heavens. It was obvious that the Sioux sisters were far superior to the Ling sisters. 3 fingers of extreme frost. Cold light burst out. The Ling sisters used their fingers as swords and pointed 3 times. The finger light was extremely fast, and it streaked across the void, leaving behind a faint 10-meter ice mist that rose up like a waterfall. By Bing Qing Shui. The Sioux sisters, one on the left and one on the right, slapped the void with their delicate hands, and the cold wind whistled. The wind from their palms condensed into ice, and it was like a pair of scissors that attacked. Pung, pung, pung. The cold air exploded, and ice crystals scattered everywhere. It was like flowers falling from the sky, and a large amount of snowflakes and ice fragments drifted down from the sky. The situation was not optimistic. In just one exchange, the Sioux sisters were in a defensive state. The comprehension of the mental cultivation method did not completely represent one's combat strength. The Ling sisters were middle 7th layer war emperors, and the Sioux sisters were only early 5th layer war emperors. The difference of 2 major realms and 1 minor realm wasn't something that could be made up by merely comprehending a mental cultivation method. Even Lin Chun, who was as strong as he was in the 9 prefectures, had to break through to the 4th heavenly layer and rely on the 9 heavenly layer transformations and other trump cards to be able to challenge a 7th heavenly layer combat emperor. It was extremely difficult for a war emperor to challenge someone of a higher realm. Unless there was an absolute gap between the 2 sides, but almost everyone agreed that this situation would be very difficult for the Sioux sisters, who were also nurtured by Ice Heart Palace. For beautiful figures flashed and intertwined, entangling with each other. Ling Xiaolon used Ice Heart Palace's purple rank skills one after another. The Ling sisters suppressed the Sioux sisters with their cultivation difference, and the Sioux sisters were completely at a disadvantage. Daring to offend senior brother Ji Qingming, only death awaits you. Being able to withstand our attacks with early 5th layer war emperors is enough for you to die with pride. The 2 women mocked, but the Sioux sisters' expressions did not change. Although they were at a disadvantage, they did not show any signs of defeat. Clang! The Ling sisters drew their swords at the same time. The sword light was unsheathed, and like a rainbow, it cut through the wind and waves, sweeping up the snowflakes in the sky. As for the other blue sword shadow, it meandered like a snake. Its trajectory was extremely soft and unpredictable. Ling Xiaolon and Ling Qiao used dual swords combined, one hard and one soft, and the Sioux sisters' defense was about to collapse. Are these 2 girls going to be defeated? After all, they're only at the 5th layer war emperors. Being able to do this is already very good. Haha, you guys are really old and muddle-headed. The Sioux sisters' battle chi is not being used, and it looks like they're still holding back. On the other hand, the Ling sisters are revealing their killing intent and want to quickly defeat their opponents with their cultivation. I'm afraid the situation will change. Just as the elders on the platform finished speaking, the sound of metal clashing rang out, echoing throughout the audience. Su Lan and Ling Xiaolon held the yin-yang bracelet in one hand and the ice glass sword in the other as they forced the Ling Xiaolon sisters back. This scene was beyond everyone's expectations. However, only one person's expression changed greatly when he saw this scene. That person was Elder Mo Jingyu. He suddenly stood up from his seat, his eyes filled with disbelief as he stared at the two women's weapons. Apart from their grade, the yin-yang ring and the ice glass sword shone with a dark green brilliance. It was dazzling and blurry, like stars floating in the sky. It can't be wrong. This dark green brilliance is exactly the same as the brilliance released by the battle spear that Lin Shin Kid used to defeat the Ice Prince. Before Elder Mo Jingyu could think too much, the battle in the arena started again. Su Lan's movement technique was light and fast. Like a series of blue waves, she stepped on the air and flashed around the arena, dodging Ling Xiaolon's sword techniques time and time again. The younger sister, Su Lan, spun the yin-yang ring, and the ice divine light shone in all directions. The light was so bright that it was like 4 rays of light shooting towards Ling Xiaoyu's plum folding 3 swords, exploding into a storm. Some of the senior Inner Palace disciples couldn't help but exclaim, "It's the Azure Sea Green Cloud Steps." Only true disciples have the right to cultivate this low-grade purple rank movement technique. Such fast speed, there's no pause between the turns at all. It's so easy and smooth. This is the perfect Azure Sea Green Cloud Steps. Chapter 792. The proficiency of the Sioux sisters' battle skills could be described as shocking. There's also senior sister Su Lan's yin-yang separation and reunion technique. Heavens, she's even more proficient than that blue-rank true disciple from last time. The Inner Hall disciples weren't the only ones shocked. Even Elder Jian, who was in charge of the cultivation method pavilion, was shocked. That's not right. The yin-yang separation and reunion technique and blue sea clear cloud steps were both borrowed from the cultivation method pavilion half a month ago. It's only been half a month, but they're already using them with almost no flaws. It's as if they've been cultivating them for dozens of years. What's going on? That's impossible. Elder Jian was more than shocked. He wanted nothing more than to rush down the stage and ask for an explanation. He had been in charge of the cultivation method pavilion for many years, but he had never seen such an abnormal learning speed. No matter how much a genius one was, they still needed time to adapt. Clang! Ka! Ka! After hundreds of rounds of fierce battle, 2 crisp cracking sounds rang out. Everyone looked over and saw that Ling Xiaolon and Su Lan swords had both cracked. That's not right. Everyone rubbed their eyes. They weren't seeing things. Ling Xiaolon and Su Lan swords were Blue Moon and Blue Nether, both of which were high 7th stage mid-rank. These 2 swords were their signature, but Su Lan and Su Lan's Ice Glass Sword and Yin Yang rings were only high 7th stage low rank. There was a difference of 1 grade. Cultivation could allow one to challenge those of a higher grade, but how could one's weapons do the same? The difference between the quality and the materials used to forge them was obvious. What kind of day is this? Why are there so many ridiculous things happening one after another? Some of the Inner Hall disciples were starting to doubt their lives. Only a small number of disciples were looking at one of the seats in the hall. Even Elder Mo Jingyu was the same. That's right, this scene was extremely similar to the battle between Lin Shun and the Ice Prince. The elders of Iceheart Palace were all old foxes, so how could such an unreasonable thing happen all at once during this period of time? They all thought of Lin Shun at the same time. The elders all looked at Lin Chun curiously. Lin Sun was calmly sitting in his seat. He didn't pay attention to the battle in the field at all. Even when Ji Qingming glanced at him, he was so angry that his veins were bulging and the corners of his mouth were twitching. Mr. Lin held the mirror with one hand, stroked his chin, and admired himself in the mirror. He nodded and praised. As expected of the most handsome man in the 9 states. I'm afraid that in a few years, you'll become the most handsome man in the sacred boundary. Sigh. The men of the sacred boundary are really unfortunate to be born in the same era as me. Compared to my handsomeness, they're destined to be overshadowed. It's him. It was definitely him. Su Lan and her sister's rapid improvement in their cultivation methods, their rapid improvement in their combat skills, and even the strength of their weapons could be directly related to this young man. How could this brat be so calm? He didn't even need to watch the competition. Even a brainless person wouldn't believe that his and the 2 girls' outburst of fortuitous encounters had nothing to do with their amazing performance today. The test has ended. Winner, Su Lan, advanced to the blue rank True Inheritance. After 500 rounds of fierce fighting, the old woman referee announced the result loudly, shocking everyone present. Su Lan and her sister walked off the stage with ease, their breaths long. On the other hand, the 2 sisters in the arena were completely carried out by their opponents. This was the result of the gap in their cultivation methods. Su Lan and her sister, who had cultivated to the peak of the 9th heavenly layer, took advantage of the opponent's eagerness for quick success and dragged out the battle. In the end, they relied on their outstanding combat skills and their cultivation methods to reach the peak of the 9th heavenly layer to counterattack and win. It seems that there are 2 more top-notch Heaven's favorites among the blue-level true disciples. I'm very optimistic that senior sister Su Lan and her sister will become purple-rank true disciples within 10 years. Reaching the peak of the 9th heavenly layer proud frost cultivation method is something only a few purple-rank true disciples can achieve. What they lack is time and the accumulation of resources. Yes. I'm really looking forward to the upcoming 4-way conference. Our Ice Heart Palace can be said to be a gathering of geniuses this time. Countless disciples marveled at the talent of the 2 sisters. First, there was Lung Yu Chi's 9 absolute coal veins, and then there was Su Lan and her sister. Everyone knew that Ice Heart Palace had picked up a treasure this time. However, only a few true disciples and elders knew that the 2 sisters were indeed heaven-defying geniuses, but they had yet to pick up a real treasure. Because the real, peerless genius was still sitting in the audience. That was Lin Shun. It was him who had created all the miracles the 2 sisters had achieved. To be able to help Su Lan and her sister break the record of Ice Heart Palace so easily. Just how monstrous was this boy? At this time, Lin Shun walked off the stage, causing everyone to look at him curiously. What was he going to do? Coming to the side of Su Lan and her sister, Lin Shun shook his head and sighed, pointing at the 2 women. Look at what you've done. All the disciples were dumbfounded again. What was going on? Why wasn't he satisfied? I'm very disappointed. Your performance was too poor. What did I teach you before? You were supposed to win the battle within 50 rounds, but you dragged it out for more than 500 rounds. You're simply throwing away my face. Even I would feel ashamed if I told this to others. Come to my room tonight, and each of you will write a 5,000-word reflection after the battle. You're not allowed to leave until you're done. Lin Shun scolded in disappointment. The 2 women bowed slightly and answered obediently, "Yes, we know our mistake. We'll do better next time." Fuck. Many disciples couldn't help but curse, and some elders were about to go crazy. Look at that. Is that even something a human would say? Junior sister Su Lan defeated Ling Xiaolan with her 5th layer combat emperor cultivation, and even managed to escape unscathed. Many veteran combat emperors of the same level wouldn't be able to achieve such a feat. He actually said he was disappointed. My God, he's crazy. He must be crazy. He even wants to write a 5,000-word reflection. Fuck. He won't write it on the bed, right? Devil. He must be a devil. Interesting, Lin Shun. You've successfully raised my expectations for you. I hope you won't lose too quickly. Otherwise, it won't be so satisfying to trample on you. After Ling Xiaolon and Ling Xiaolon were defeated, Ji Qingming revealed a strange smile, causing the Prince of Ice behind him to shudder. After the examination ended and Su Lan and Ling Xiaolon became blue-rank true disciples, many true disciples sent them invitations. The Zhongyu trial originated from the immemorial civilization and was extremely dangerous. Once they entered, they would have to compete with the forces of the outside world. Every time it opened, it could lead to the death of a blue-rank true disciple or even a purple-rank true disciple in history. In such a dangerous trial, the more people there were, the better. However, Su Lan and Ling Xiaolon's answer surprised everyone. They didn't form a team with anyone but Lin Chun. This result made countless male disciples envious and jealous. What kind of bewitching potion did this guy feed these two Ice Mountain goddesses to make them so obsessed with him? However, on second thought, Lin Chen's disappointment during the examination was terrifying. There were still 3 days before the Zhongyu trial began, which meant that Lin Chen still had 3 days to see Lung Yueqi. At night, in Lin Chen's secret room, he had already familiarized himself with the cultivation of the plant of providence and had a preliminary understanding of how to cultivate his clear jade tree seed. There are countless grade 1 forces in the sacred boundary, which is equivalent to a mediocre force. However, grade 2 forces can be called large sections. To establish a grade 2 force, one needs a saint to oversee it, and the other is the plant of providence. Lin Chen opened his palm, and the clear jade tree seed that had just sprouted appeared. The plant of providence absorbed providence and a small amount of energy to grow. According to Lin Chen's Eye of 9 Tribulations, the reason why it could absorb 9 Tribulations battle chi was because 9 Tribulations battle chi was one of the energies of heaven and earth's tribulations. As for tribulations, they were also a type of karmic luck. This was why the clear jade tree seed could absorb 9 Tribulations battle chi. However, with Lin Chen's current strength, if you were to feed the clear jade tree seed with 9 Tribulations battle chi, it would take a very long time for it to mature. Lin Chen estimated that he would need to be at least a 3rd Tribulation Combat Emperor to be qualified to feed it with battle chi. Now, he had to rely on external forces. According to Lin Chen's information and knowledge, only Silver Saint Origin coins and Gold Saint Origin coins were the most suitable to cultivate the plant of providence. Chapter 793. Lin Chun reluctantly took out a Golden Saint Origin coin. This was a Golden Saint Origin coin worth 10,000 Silver Saint Origin coins. This is all I have. Little guy, you have to make it up to me in the future. He placed the Golden Saint Origin coin on the surface of the clear jasper tree, and a brilliant golden light immediately appeared. The energy of the Golden Saint Origin coin was quickly lost on the surface of the tree. The bud grew rapidly, growing and growing, and the emerald green light shone brightly. Lin Chun had fed the bud with his 9th Calamity Battle Force for half a month, and now it had grown to the size of an arm in the blink of an eye. Lin Chen replanted it in a high-grade storage ring. The soil inside was rich with nutrients, and the bud continued to grow. It began to grow into a straight branch more than 2 meters tall, with tender leaves blooming. The energy of the Golden Saint Origin coin was abundant. Lin Chen estimated that the clear jasper tree would need 3 days to absorb all the energy. The storage ring can only absorb the energy provided by itself, but can't communicate with the providence of heaven and earth. I need to find a providence plant bag. The providence plant bag was a spatial treasure specially used to cultivate providence spirit plants. No matter how high-grade a storage ring was, it was only a sealed space. Providence spirit plants needed to absorb providence on their own to grow. The providence plant bag could connect to the providence of the outside world, so it was one of the few options. The value of the providence plant bag was extremely high, and it was not inferior to the value of some rare techniques. The best choice for a large sect was to choose a blessed grotto heaven to plant the Providence plant bag. But Lin Shun was alone, so the Providence plant bag was his only choice. It said that the Blue Moon trial was established in the primordial age, where countless sages died. I wonder if I can get some high-grade techniques or treasures to feed Providence spirit plants. Lin Shun was secretly looking forward to the Blue Moon trial. The next day, Su Lan and her sister came to visit. Green Moon City's treasure appraisal convention? Lin Shun was surprised. The sisters wanted him to take them to a nearby treasure appraisal convention. Yes, class monitor, weren't you an appraiser before? Take us to see it. Su Lan's eyes were filled with stars. Girls always had a natural talent of shopping, let alone the fact that the treasure appraisal convention was a place where masters from all walks of life would show off their divine abilities to bless ancient and rare objects. It always gave people a strong sense of novelty, as if they were witnessing the birth of a treasure. It seems like I can't hide my title as the #1 appraiser of the 9 provinces anymore. Let's do it then. I want to see how different the treasure appraisal convention of the Sacred Boundary is from the 9 provinces. Lin Shun was in high spirits as he headed towards Green Moon City with the 2 girls. This city was under the administration of Ice Heart Palace and was one of the resting areas for Ice Heart Palace's disciples. Every year, a large number of caravans would come here to settle down and hold many grand events, including the Artifact Appraisal Convention. At the entrance of Green Moon City's convention. In front of the entrance of the convention, 2 groups of people met each other at the same time. It was as if enemies were destined to meet. They looked at each other and realized that it was actually Ji Qingming and Lin Shun again. Without waiting for the other party to speak, Lin Shun said with a teasing smile, "Hey, what's your name? I know I'm handsome, but you don't have to follow me. How many times have we met? I'm not interested in men." Ji Qingming's words almost caused some of the purple-grade true disciples beside him to laugh out loud. "You have a sharp tongue. You think you're qualified to participate in the treasure appraisal convention? With me, Ji Qingming, here, you're destined to return empty-handed." Ji Qingming sneered disdainfully. With a flick of his sleeve, he led everyone into the venue. Lin Shun led the 2 girls into the venue. "Isn't that Lin Shun? Senior brother Ji Qingming is here too. Are the 2 of them finally going to face each other? I heard that Lin Shun defeated the Ice Prince. Hee hee. Now they're participating in the treasure appraisal convention. There's going to be a good show." Some of the sharp-eyed true disciples noticed the 2 of them and quickly followed them into the venue. The venue was bustling with noise and excitement. There were 8 paths for appraisers in all 4 directions. Only appraisers could enter the paths when they were consecrating treasures. No one else was allowed to enter. This wasn't just a treasure appraisal convention. What was different from the 9 provinces was that during the convention, when the appraisers consecrated and appraised the treasures, the sellers could choose to put the treasures up for sale and the buyers could participate in the auction. This was a convention where both appraisers and buyers could participate in the auction. The venue was vast and could accommodate more than 100,000 people. At this moment, people were coming and going. Sellers and appraisers were constantly calling out prices on the stage. The dazzling array of treasures on the stage was too much for the eyes to take in. "Oh, Lin Shun is also interested in this treasure appraisal convention. Come this way, please." Elder Mo Jingyu was overjoyed when he saw Lin Shun and the other 2. This city was under the control of the Ice Heart Palace. Every major event would be guarded by an elder. Today, Mo Jingyu was in charge. Both sides chatted and laughed as they sat on the side. Ji Qingming's group sat in the highest VIP room. The 3 purple-grade true disciples beside him couldn't help but feel curious. Seeing Elder Mo's attitude, it seemed like he was trying to curry favor with Lin Shun. "Lin Shun is also an appraiser?" Mo Jingyu asked. "I know a thing or 2. Lin Shun was honest. In the entire 9 prefectures, his purple golden eyes might not be a match for him. However, in the Sacred Boundary, it was not enough. Lin Shun was willing to come because he wanted to use his system to try his luck. After all, he was the only one who could see the attribute light balls. This was much more practical than being an appraiser. Ha ha ha. Then this old man will have to take a good look at this fierce battle. Yu laughed loudly. Lin Shin smiled and asked, "Is Elder Mo talking about Ji Qingming?" Yu said, "That's right. Ji Qingming has cultivated the sword eye technique. He can see through everything. Even the energy of the 5 elements, 7 revolutions, and 9 extremes cannot escape his eyes. His sword eye played an extremely important role in his achievements today and his ranking as 99994 on the prodigy list." Lin Shin smiled casually. "Interesting. Then I will have to broaden my horizons." After speaking, a batch of antiques went on stage, attracting the attention of the high-level appraisers. There were 4 antiques in this batch. They were a bronze-colored iron plate, a light green jade pendant, a purple crystal, and a brand-new scabbard that shone with a sharp edge. This jade pendant has a hidden secret. At this moment, an appraiser in a white robe walked into the passage. He raised the jade pendant high and activated his secret art of appraising. 3 rays of light flowed into the jade pendant. The light green jade pendant suddenly vibrated, and the stage became hot. A drop of red blood essence emerged from the jade pendant, destroying the roars of ancient beasts. This is the super dragon blood of a second tribulation cultivator. 1 drop is worth 10,000 crystals. If it is used for alchemy or body refining, it is worth at least 60 silver Saint Origin coins. The white-robed elder stood proudly, and everyone was shocked. At this moment, no one was appraising the remaining 3 antiques. It seemed that all the appraisers present had thought that the jade pendant was the most precious treasure. "What do you think, class monitor? Is that the most precious treasure?" Sulan turned her beautiful eyes and asked curiously. "Not necessarily. It's not that simple." Lin Shin activated his purple gold eyes and used the golden pupil twin eyes. "This young man is really not simple." Yu was secretly shocked. This young man's appraisal skills were also not low. The other 2 antiques did not have any abnormalities. The brand-new scabbard actually hid a sword technique, and the bronze iron plate still had a secret. Between the 2, Lin Shin chose the secret in the bronze plate. The light in the bronze plate is hidden. The treasure in the scabbard is the most precious treasure. Lin Shin and Ji Qingming's voices sounded at the same time. Countless people turned around and stared at the 2 of them. Chapter 794. The hearts of the Ice Heart Palace's true disciples skipped a beat. Were these 2 going to fight so quickly? Lin Shin stood up and locked eyes with Ji Qingming. Chi! Boom! A terrifying aura surged like a tsunami. Lin Shin's purple gold eyes were unpredictable, as vast and deep as the ocean. On the other hand, Ji Qingming's eyes were filled with sharp sword light, as if they could see through everything. Ordinary people would not even dare to look directly at his eyes. This was an unconventional duel between 2 peerless geniuses. One had appeared out of nowhere and landed in the Ice Heart Palace, receiving the treatment of the elders as a VIP. The other was a veteran Ice Heart Palace prodigy, a natural-born emperor. He had boundless luck and was nominated for the genius list at such a young age. Who was better? Countless eyes stared at Lin Shin and Ji Qingming. Lin Shin chose the bronze plate, while Ji Qingming chose the scabbard. The 2 stood up and walked slowly into the appraiser's passage. First was Ji Qingming. He smashed the brand-new scabbard as soon as he stepped onto the stage. Then, he chose 3 specific fragments from the scabbard and combined them into one. He activated his battle chi and injected it into the 3 fragments of the scabbard. With a buzz, the scabbard shone brightly. The fragments of the scabbard turned into a star chart and condensed into a ball of light, revealing a few words. First half of the Killing Demon Sword Art, purple rank low grade. It was actually a purple rank low grade sword art. Unfortunately, this sword technique was incomplete and only half of it was complete. However, its value is still not inferior to that drop of dragon blood. As for Lin Shin, He activated his fire calamity battle physique and condensed a fire blade at his fingertips. Lin Shan carefully removed the rust from the antique bronze plate with his fire blade. After that, he caught the rust with his spiritual energy. After that, he burned the antique bronze plate with his fire calamity battle chi. After turning it into molten iron, he withdrew his fire calamity battle chi and mixed the rust powder into the molten iron. Boom! Chi! With a crackling sound, the two merged into one and formed a brand new iron scroll. A few words appeared on it: returning Yang Pill Cauldron Art, purple rank low-grade, high-grade alchemy hand seal. It was actually an alchemy hand seal. In the sacred boundary, there were as many experts as there were clouds in the sky. This was a place that required cultivation resources and cultivation pills more than any other place. Naturally, alchemists and alchemy handprints were even rarer and more expensive. If it was auctioned, it could fetch at least 400 Saint Origin coins. Purple rank, low-level, high-level hand seal. If placed in the 9 prefectures, this level of hand seal could be ranked in the top 30. This thing is really well hidden. If I burn it directly, the rusty powder that records the handprint cultivation method will be burned away, Lin Shan said with a carefree smile. He casually waved his hand and grabbed the 3 amethyst treasure chests on top of the iron scroll. These 3 treasure chests were his goal. Opened 3 purple crystal treasure chests. Obtained 15 rune evolution stones, red flame gold powder. I knew the class leader would win. Su Lan excitedly waved her little fists while her elder sister, Su Lan, smiled like a blooming flower. Her beauty was breathtaking, causing the male disciples of Ice Heart Palace to fall into a daze for a moment. Lin Shan actually won? While the purple rank direct disciples beside Ji Qingming were shocked, the corners of Ji Qingming's lips curled up slightly. Lin Shan, it seems that you're only SOSO. In the next moment, a sudden change occurred. Ji Qingming crushed the other inconspicuous fragments of the scabbard into powder. What was strange was that some of the powder was actually flickering with a faint purple light. Fusing the purple light powder into the 3 fragments of the scabbard shone brightly. Boom! The sword light soared into the sky and roared. The lines of the star map changed again. Killing demon sword technique. Complete version, purple rank lower grade. Comes with the Emperor's sword Dao spiritual inheritance. What? This move was a complete reversal that exceeded everyone's expectations. The value of a complete top-tier low-grade purple rank sword art was almost the same as the alchemy handprint. Moreover, the scabbard was originally brand new and complete, and it even carried the lifetime worth of memories of a top-rate sword emperor. This was no small matter. In terms of value, it could be auctioned for at least 600 Saint Origin coins. This was a rare and precious experience for some young sword emperors. Lin Shan, it seems that I still overestimated you. After completing the handover, Ji Qingming walked down the stage and looked up at Lin Shan with a disdainful sneer. Lin Shan could not help but be surprised. He could only see that there might be a sword technique hidden in the scabbard, but the sword technique was incomplete and not obvious. However, he did not expect that the scabbard still had a secret hidden inside. He had indeed lost this round. Interesting. A genius on the genius list indeed has some skill. Lin Shan smiled frankly. His opponent's sword eyes were more sensitive to sword Dao, so he could not blame him for losing this round. There were many geniuses in the sacred boundary, and only the top 100,000 geniuses could enter the genius list. Ji Qingming was far stronger than any of the young geniuses Lin Shan had encountered before. This did not make Lin Shan depressed. Instead, it aroused his desire to challenge. Senior brother Ji Qingming is mighty. See, country bumpkin? This is the strength of our Ice Heart Palace's #1 disciple. If you know what's good for you, you'd better get out of here. Relying on a special secret art to reach 1000 Frost 9th stage by chance. You think you can compete with our senior brother Ji Qingming? Dream on. The group of disciples shouted. Although Lin Shan was favored by the elders, The most important thing was to curry favor with senior brother Ji Qingming. If he was nominated, he would definitely have a meteoric rise in the future. Ji Qingming enjoyed it very much. His expression was arrogant and cold as he glanced at Lin Shan with disdain from time to time. The hearts of the purple true disciples were stirred. They were able to see much further than ordinary disciples. Although he lost to Ji Qingming, this kid did not show any signs of defeat. He is calm and composed. This person is not simple. In some ways, he is even more terrifying than senior brother Ji Qingming. Senior brother Ji Qingming is young, but this person is only in his early 20s. Such a young person is rare in the sacred boundary. Lin Shan returned to his seat. Sulan was worried that Lin Shan would be disappointed and cheered him on. Class monitor, don't be discouraged. To us, you are the best. You will definitely surpass him in the future. Lin Shan smiled and said, all right, a loss is a loss. It's not like I can't afford to lose. Magnanimous, not arrogant or rash. Excellent aptitude. Mo Jingyu did not say anything, but he secretly evaluated in his heart. Lin Shan opened the system's strengthening function. Lin Shan planned to try strengthening the purple gold eyes secret technique. Because it was also a secret art, it should be able to be strengthened. Consumed 60 strengthening points. Plus 1 purple gold eyes secret technique succeeded. Power increase, 10%. It really worked. Lin Shan's eyes lit up. In one breath, he strengthened the purple gold eyes secret technique to plus 11. After failing 7 times in front of plus 12, he had used up nearly 10,000 strengthening points. All the strengthening points he had now were used up. Plus 11 purple gold eyes secret technique was now 140% more effective than before. During this time, the treasure appraisal conference was still going on. Not every batch of antiques was valuable. Some of them were just there to make up the numbers. When it came to the 11th batch of antiques, only Ji Qingming and Lin Shan opened their eyes again. It's here, a rare treasure that was worth their time. There were 4 antiques this time, a pair of tattered shoes, 1,000 jade coral, a palm-sized shell, and an ancient sword. Chapter 795. Ji Qingming's eyes lit up as he activated his sword, and instantly saw through the secret of the ancient sword. This time, Lin Shan activated his purple gold eyes again with his mental energy. The purple gold light lingered and rotated around the edges of Lin Shan's pupils. It was as if divine splendor was rippling. The light was so bright that even elder Mo Jingyu felt a suffocating sense of oppression. What a strong aura. This kid's appraisal technique is much more terrifying than before. What is going on? Elder Mo Jingyu was shocked. Didn't he just lose to Ji Qingming? Did he break through in such a short time? Ji Qingming stepped into the appraisal channel and revealed the secret of the ancient sword, consecrating it and causing it to shine brightly. A blazing sun was raised, and the sword's power was vast and majestic. It was completely different from its previous shabby appearance. This ancient sword was sealed by an ancient sealing technique, causing it to be covered in dust and dim. It is actually a mid-rank 7th-order sword. Ji Qingming said proudly. Everyone was shocked. A mid-rank 7th-order sword was worth 2,000 silver Saint Origin coins. According to the division of the competition, if an appraisal master consecrated a treasure, he would get 20% of the profits. Ji Qingming earned another 400 silver Saint Origin coins, making everyone envious. Even Iceheart Palace, a 3rd-grade sect, only got 100 silver Saint Origin coins per month for its core disciples, 200 silver Saint Origin coins for blue Saint Origin coins, and 800 silver Saint Origin coins for purple Saint Origin coins. Ji Qingming had earned half a month's worth of purple Saint Origin coins. In the appraisal master profession, it was true that he could earn a living for 3 years. No, this 1,000 jade coral is the most precious treasure. At this time, Lin Shan's voice sounded. Everyone looked at him with disdain and mockery, but Lin Shen didn't care and stepped into the appraisal channel. This guy still hasn't given up. He already lost to senior brother Ji Qingming once, and he still wants to fight? Some people just don't know their own limits. The nearby Ice Heart Palace disciples couldn't help but mock Ji Qingming, but most of them were looking at him with anticipation. Lin Shen went up to the stage and raised 1,000 jade coral with one hand. Colorful rays of light illuminated the surroundings as he channeled his gold calamity battle chi into the coral and disintegrated it into pieces. While everyone was puzzled, Lin Shen activated the water calamity battle body to cover the cut coral. He then activated his mental power to remove the water caltrop on the surface and the core of the coral, leaving only a few pieces of coral the size of a finger. In the next moment, Lin Shen's fingertip tapped lightly, and his spiritual force entered the remaining coral. Instantly, a bright light shone. Boom! The terrifying holy aura was like an abyss, rolling up stormy waves, as if it was going to destroy the entire venue. No one had expected this kind of power. Mo Jingyu hurriedly took action and suppressed the entire area. He was barely able to resist the saint's might. Lin Shen, on the other hand, was calm and collected, as if he wasn't harmed at all. The piece of coral in his hand was emitting a translucent blue light, extremely dazzling. This is... Countless experienced buyers immediately widened their eyes. The holy aura that belonged to a holy beast was faintly discernible from that piece of coral. This 1,000 jade coral has coincidentally fused with the blood essence of the legendary Tian Yuing Long, and it's an 8th stage Tian Yuing Long. Although there isn't much blood essence, if you use it to forge weapons, you will definitely gain the ability to control seawater like the Tian Yuing Long. It's the best choice to forge water-type weapons. Lin Shen said with a carefree smile, instantly shocking everyone present. 8th stage? Isn't that a holy beast comparable to a sage? And it's one of the kings of the ocean, the Tian Yuing Long. Without a doubt, this item was definitely more precious than the 7th stage superior grade ancient sword. Ji Qingming's veins were bulging. Based on his experience, this piece of coral was worth at least 4,000 silver Saint Origin coins. What made him even angrier was that he couldn't see any signs of the 1,000 jade coral. Usually, in a showdown between appraisers, both sides would be able to tell which treasure was extraordinary. However, it all depended on who could see more clearly. He couldn't even see the slightest anomaly. Did this mean that Lin Shen's appraising skills were far above his? How is this possible? He just lost to me. How can he break through to a higher realm in such a short time? There was no such thing as concealment in the art of appraising. One would know the secret of an ancient object as soon as he made a move. Lin Shen lost to him just now, which meant that his appraising skills were not as good as his. In the field of appraising, concealing one's strength was an extremely stupid act. First of all, large-scale treasure appraisal conventions weren't always held. Appraising was different from other fields. If one didn't give it his all during the appraisal, he might miss the real treasure and become a regretful swan song. But what about Lin Shen? If he didn't conceal his strength, how could he break through to a higher realm in such a short time? This was not realistic at all. Elder Mo Jingyu's shock was no less than Ji Qingming's. He had seen Lin Shen transform into a higher realm with his own eyes. Could there really be such a genius in this world, as the Palace Master said, who could break through a higher realm and break through their own bottlenecks after a failure? Mo Jingyu's impression of Lin Shen increased by a few levels. After the coral was consecrated, a dark purple crystal treasure chest floated in the air. Lin Shen grabbed it and the system popped up. Opened purple crystal treasure chest. Obtained. Top purple tier ultimate archery art. Sees life. 1 arrow chases the soul. 100 arrows take the life. Top purple tier ultimate archery art. Lin Shen's heart trembled violently. In the land of the 9 prefectures, a top lower 7th level combat weapon and a top lower purple tier martial art was the limit. Lin Chen's Annihilation and 7 Ultimate Force belonged to the special category of martial arts. The lower limit was the purple rank. The upper limit was the purple rank. The lower limit was the purple rank. The upper 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 limit was the purple rank. A top purple tier ultimate combat skill was a rare treasure even in the sacred boundary. Its value was second only to a half orange tier combat skill. A half orange tier combat skill was the most precious treasure of a 3rd grade sect. The value of this archery art was at least several tens of thousands of silver Saint Origin coins. It might even be more than 100,000 silver Saint Origin coins. This combat skill might have something to do with the owner who injured this dragon's blood. Lin Chun sighed. There wasn't much heavenly imperial winged dragon's blood essence in the coral. There was only 1 drop, which was at most half the size of a fingernail. Even if he wanted to forge a combat weapon, he would have to collect other top-grade materials, which was extremely troublesome. Lin Chen didn't feel bad about it, since it wasn't very useful to him. He had obtained the most precious treasure. In the end, the coral that contained the heavenly imperial winged dragon's blood essence was auctioned off for 5,000 silver Saint Origin coins. The appraiser received 20% of the profit, while Lin Chun received 1,000 silver Saint Origin coins. Lin Chun walked down the stage, and Ji Qingming glared at him. "What are you looking at? Can't you afford to lose?" Lin Chun smiled mockingly and sat back down on his seat. The Ice Heart Palace's true disciples sighed. Those who were clamoring earlier were still stubbornly shouting. "You only won once. At most, it's a draw. What are you so proud of? Senior brother Ji Qingming, you're just showing off. Now, I'll let you know what cruelty is. You can't even get on the genius list. What are you so proud of?" Hearing the crowd's support, Ji Qingming sneered and returned to his seat. "I knew that the class monitor would win." Sulan excitedly grabbed Lin Chen's arm. Although Su Lan didn't say anything, she looked at Lin Shan with tender eyes. "Come, the class monitor will reward you." Lin Shan flicked his finger, and a few dozen silver Saint Origin coins fell into Su Lan's arms. He imitated Su Lan's tone and said, "The class monitor will protect you from now on." The 2 girls burst into laughter. The atmosphere was harmonious, and everyone envied them. The treasure appraisal convention continued, and more heavenly treasures appeared. Lin Chun and Ji Qingming both made their moves. However, the intense battle that everyone had imagined did not happen. Instead, it was one-sided suppression. This pendant contains spiritual power. It's a high-level elixir recipe. No, the most precious item is this piece of silk. It's the real undergarment of the saintess. Anything worn by the saintess is imbued with holy qi. It's extremely valuable. This red sandalwood golden silk wood is extraordinary. Its golden silk is spat out by the black sky golden silkworm. It can be used to make golden silkworm clothes. The most precious item in this batch of antiques is this sea eye stone. The sea eye stone can be used to make the legendary sea crystal see-through mirror. It's a divine item used for see-through. This sword your head. Go home and plant sweet potatoes. The most precious item is that old elixir. It was once an 8th grade divine elixir and had an elixir core. If a high-level alchemist could extract the elixir core, there would still be a wisp of holy qi left. It's priceless. Ji Qingming was speechless. Damn it, Ji Qingming lost every battle. Every time he competed with Lin Shan on the same stage, he would lose without a doubt. Ji Qingming suffered 5 consecutive defeats in a single breath. He was completely crushed by Lin Chun. All the Ice Heart Palace disciples sucked in a breath of cold air. Lin Chun actually suppressed a genius on the genius list? Anyone with a discerning eye could see that Lin Chen's treasure appraisal technique was far superior to Ji Qingming's. Chapter 796. The plus 11 purple golden eyes secret technique was 110% more effective than before. It had completely surpassed Ji Qingming's sword eye. After the treasure appraisal convention, Lin Shun had obtained 7,500 silver Saint Origin coins just by relying on the appraiser's share of the profits. As for Ji Qingming, he had less than 2,000 silver Saint Origin coins. Just by looking at the results, one could tell how badly he had lost. More importantly, Lin Shun had obtained many attribute treasure chests. After a series of events, he had gained over 5,000 enhancement points and over 40 rune evolution stones. Boom! Ji Qingming's eyes were filled with rage as he stared at Lin Shun with an intense murderous intent in his eyes. Mr. Lin crossed his legs and stretched lazily. He said lazily, "It's so annoying. I suddenly feel that my muscles and bones are stiff. I want to find someone to give me a massage." Brother G seems to be quite strong. Do you want to give me a massage? Come on, my right shoulder has been so sore lately. After saying that, Lin Shun patted Ji Qingming's shoulder, indicating for him to come over. Seeing this, many disciples tried their best to hold back their laughter. No one dared to laugh out loud. This guy was too despicable. What massage? Senior Brother G wanted to kill him right now, but he still dared to provoke Senior Brother G. However, Ji Qingming was afraid of breaking the vases. He was so angry that his veins were wriggling like dragons. He knew that if he made a move here, regardless of whether he won or lost, he would be labeled as narrow-minded. That was why Lin Shun was so fearless. Lin Shun, I challenge you. Do you dare to accept? Tomorrow, you and I will fight in the Ice Heart Palace. Life and death will be up to fate. Seeing his despicable smile, Ji Qingming could not hold back his anger. He dared to challenge Lin Shun in front of everyone. Why wouldn't I dare? If you want to fight, then let's fight. Lin Shun gave him the middle finger and sneered. I hope you won't be a coward tomorrow. Ji Qingming waved his sleeves and left with his people. Class monitor, Ji Qingming has the stellar sore body. Su Lan was worried. Lin Shun pinched her little nose, indicating that she didn't need to worry. I want to see what the legendary genius on the genius ranking is capable of. No matter how weak I am, there's no reason for me to lose to you after using the 9 Tribulation Star, Lin Chen's fighting spirit sword. He was itching to give it a try. After the artifact appraisal convention ended, the trio returned to Ice Heart Palace. By this time, it was already afternoon. Lin Shun went into seclusion to prepare for tomorrow's battle. He first absorbed the crimson flame gold powder that he had obtained from the purple crystal treasure chest during the treasure appraisal conference. This item contained an intense amount of fire attribute energy, and it increased his intermediate fire attribute energy to 11 million points. It had increased by several million points. Then he spent another 95 million intermediate cultivation technique soul essences to learn the newly acquired archery skill, Seize Life. Night, Heavenly Frost Mountain Range. Inside a beautiful and majestic palace, ice crystals were as white as snow, and bone-chilling, icy energy filled the air. This was the core area of Ice Heart Palace. Apart from a small number of elders and Ice Heart Palace's higher-ups, no one was allowed to enter. Ji Qingming walked into the palace hall. Behind the screen, 2 beautiful figures could be vaguely seen standing there. One of them spoke. Is it Ji Qingming? How many times have I said that no one is allowed to enter the palace during the training period? Ji Qingming cupped his fists. Palace Master, Qingming has an important matter to discuss with junior sister Yuqi. If I don't speak about this matter, I won't be able to rest easy. The person who spoke hesitated for a moment before coldly scolding. Since you've been nominated for the genius ranking, I'll give you half a quarter of an hour. Thank you, Palace Master. One of the figures behind the screen disappeared, leaving only one. Through the screen, one could vaguely see her graceful and exquisite curves. She was definitely a woman who could captivate all living things. Ji Qingming revealed an infatuated expression. Junior sister Yuqi, you know my feelings and secrets. If I rule the world one day, I'll definitely make you my mother. There's no need. The beautiful woman's voice leisurely came from behind the screen. It was ethereal and pleasing to the ear, but it was incomparably cold, as if there was not a trace of emotion. Ji Qingming's expression instantly became especially gloomy. Is it because of that Lin Shun from the 9 states? When he mentioned this name, the beautiful woman did not answer, but the chill that pervaded the palace quietly dissipated. Let me tell you, this Lin Shun has already arrived at the sacred boundary, and he's in our Ice Heart Palace. Ji Qingming's expression was particularly ferocious as he spoke word by word. What? He's here! The beautiful woman's joyful exclamation came from behind the screen. Her voice was like the chirping of a bird, crisp and pleasant to the ear. All the chill in the palace quickly disappeared, revealing a bit of warmth. It was like the first glimmer of light, no longer making people feel cold. She smiled. Junior sister Yuqi actually smiled when she heard his name. As if he had seen a magnificent scene, Ji Qingming's pupils shrank. From a moment Lung Yuqi entered Ice Heart Palace, other than the palace master and the other senior sister who was nominated for the genius list, she was as cold as an iceberg that would not melt for 10,000 years. However, her peerless beauty, as cold as ice, as bright as the moon, and as elegant as a goddess, deeply fascinated Ji Qingming. He had never been so attracted to a woman. Even if she was just an iceberg, she was still radiant. Now, this goddess, who was high and mighty in his heart, had actually fallen in love with him at the mention of that mortal's name. How could the proud and arrogant Ji Qingming accept this? He has indeed come to Ice Heart Palace, but I have officially issued a challenge to him. I will defeat him in front of everyone in Ice Heart Palace. I will announce to everyone that he is not worthy of you. I, Ji Qingming, am your true son of heaven. Ji Qingming roared hoarsely, his eyes red. If Lin Shen was here, he would probably blurt out that he was a shameless person. Ji Qingming knew that junior sister Yuqi was undergoing the palace master's cultivation. Apart from the Blue Moon trial, she could not leave or move around at any time. Unexpectedly, after hearing this news, the beauty behind the screen was not angry. Instead, she smiled sweetly. Lung Yuqi's reply shook Ji Qingming. He is the most outstanding and unique man in this world. No one can compare to even a billionth of him. Ji Qingming. Challenging him will be the biggest mistake of your life. Early in the morning, the sky arena of the heavenly Frost Mountain Range was packed with people. Because today, there was an important battle. Ji Qingming versus Lin Chen. No one wanted to miss this battle. Regardless of Lin Chen's strength, it was a rare opportunity to see a genius on the genius list fight. Perhaps they could use this battle to comprehend their own cultivation path of the War Emperor. Regardless of whether it was the Outer Hall or the true disciples, most of the disciples had just returned from the Blue Moon trial. Since such a lively event was about to begin, more than half of the disciples were present. Ji Qingming stood with his sword behind his back. His sword aura was like a rainbow as he stepped into the arena. Where's that Lin Shen? Why is he nowhere to be seen? That guy can't be scared, right? Ha ha. Tis TSK. That's not very likely. You didn't see the treasure appraisal conference yesterday. The guy looked calm, but he was actually very arrogant. While the disciples were discussing, 3 people slowly walked in from the entrance of the arena. Lin Chan was still wearing his silver robe, and the Su sisters followed behind him. Chapter 797. Lin Shan had a smile on his face as he walked leisurely. His deep eyes were like the stars under the vast sky. Just this calm temperament alone was enough to dispel most people's doubts. Lin Shan entered the arena and stood opposite Ji Qingming. I thought you didn't dare to come. Ji Qingming sneered with his sword behind his back. Lin Shan shrugged. I believe no one would refuse to come and beat up someone uglier than me. Ji Qingming's brows twitched as he recalled Lung Yueqi's words. He is the most outstanding man in the world. Looking at Lin Chen's frivolous appearance, it was completely inconsistent with Lung Yueqi's warning. How could this be the most outstanding man in the world? Nonsense. I will trample you under my feet in front of everyone. Ji Qingming grinned as his battle chi surged wildly. Even the higher-ups of Iceheart Palace paid great attention to this battle. A few gazes faintly locked onto the two of them. The purpose of this battle is to exchange pointers. Bang! Before Elder Mo Jingyu could finish his words, the two of them had actually started fighting. These two guys, with a wave of his sleeve, Elder Mo Jingyu activated a spatial barrier. 8 desolate finger. Insignificant skill, star sword finger. The two finger lights collided in the air. With a bang, a huge mushroom cloud of energy rose up. The two figures flashed quickly in the arena. Lin Shun took the lead and punched out like a dragon. His 7 severing slash was aimed at Ji Qingming's handsome face. Ji Qingming blocked with his arm. When he blocked Lin Chen's punch, a bloody wound appeared on his palm as he was hit by the 7 severing slash. His expression changed slightly as he raised his leg and kneed Lin Chen's abdomen with his sharp and indestructible battle chi. You're still lacking when it comes to close combat with your Grandpa Lin. Lin Shun sneered as he channeled his dragon power and activated his gold calamity battle body. His entire body became indestructible as he raised his elbow and smashed it with the 7-blade ripping force. The tip of his elbow slammed into Ji Qingming's knee, and their battle chi and strength collided. Lin Chen's gold calamity battle body was so tough that his scalp went numb. The 7 ultimate ripping force tore apart his battle robe and caused his blood to boil. After his right elbow landed, Lin Chen's left shoulder twitched. His fist was like a ferocious dragon's hook, and he activated the 7 ultimate pulling force with his left hook, closing the distance between the two of them. Then he fiercely punched Ji Qingming's right face, forcing him to activate his defensive combat technique. Bang! Lin Chen's fist shattered the green screen that covered Ji Qingming's body. Like a dragon emerging from the sea, Lin Shun unleashed his 9 Tribulations battle body, 7 ultimate forces, and 5 million points of pure strength. He launched a series of close combat attacks on Ji Qingming, forcing Ji Qingming to use his defensive treasures and defensive battle skills to parry. For a moment, Ji Qingming could only defend himself. Oh my God, am I seeing things? Senior brother Ji Qingming is being suppressed? How is this possible? Senior brother Ji Qingming's cultivation is at the late stage 9th tier. Don't worry, senior brother Ji Qingming hasn't drawn his sword yet. Some inner palace disciples exclaimed. The strength that Lin Shen displayed was not inferior to that of a purple rank true disciple. In fact, he was even stronger than most of the purple rank true disciples. Whoosh! Together with the purple phoenix wings, Lin Shen activated the silent step at full speed, flashing behind Ji Qingming time and time again. His fists were domineering and fierce as he fiercely hammered at Ji Qingming's back. Host has activated the passive talent Assault. Received 50% increase in power. Ji Qingming's fingertips shone with a crimson brilliance as he struck out with his claws. His claw technique was tricky and ruthless, and he used 4 claws to disintegrate Lin Chen's sudden attack. However, he was secretly shocked. Lin Chen's punch seemed to be heavier and heavier than before. Its power seemed to have increased by 50%. Following that, Lin Shun used the 7 deadly pulling force to pull the space and disrupt Ji Qingming's movements. Then, with a turn of the silent step, he scuttled behind Ji Qingming again. 7 deadly slashing force. Lin Shun smacked Ji Qingming's back with his palm. The force turned into a coiling dragon that hissed and slashed furiously with his 5 fingers like sharp blades. Ji Qingming quickly turned around to face Lin Chen head-on. Lin Chen swept out a wave of mental energy to disrupt Ji Qingming's rhythm. Then, with the silent step, he flashed behind Ji Qingming again and launched another round of violent attacks. This strange scene made all the disciples puzzled, and the corners of their mouths twitched violently. Is he crazy? Why does he keep circling behind senior brother Ji Qingming? What's the point of attacking from behind blindly? Isn't this exposing his intention to attack? Why does he like to attack from behind so much? So perverted and coquettish. I like it. Even the elders who were as strong as the fourth and fifth Calamity Battle Emperors were puzzled. This wasn't right. Attacking from behind blindly would only expose one's intention and direction of attack, making it easier to defend and respond. This was a rather foolish choice in a high-level battle. To me, these rules are nothing but a fart. Brother Chun, I have a passive innate skill, Assault. It only needs a certain condition to activate, and it doesn't require any talent points. I don't care about your defense. Today, I'm going to attack from behind so that no one will listen to me. Lin Chen's eyes revealed a murderous glint as he launched another round of violent attacks. Using the mental energy of the Heaven Completion stage to disrupt Ji Qingming, he continuously used the silent step to sneak behind Ji Qingming. Then, he unleashed the full power of the Seven Deadly Force and launched a violent attack. For a moment, Lin Chun, who was relying on pure strength and the Ninth Calamity Battle Body, was suppressing Ji Qingming. He only needed to attack from behind without any harsh conditions. The power of every attack could be increased by 50%. This innate skill, Assault, was simply awesome. So what if you know my intention to attack? I'll increase the power of every attack. Let's see how many times you can defend against it. Ha ha ha. Awesome, this is awesome. It turns out that attacking from behind is so awesome. Lin Chen's loud laughter made everyone's scalp tingle. How could he laugh so happily? Crazy. He must be crazy. He's definitely a psychopath. You say you're looking for a woman. When you turn off the lights in the middle of the night, who cares if you're in front or behind? But you're facing senior brother Ji Qingming. What's so great about attacking from behind? This is a battle, not a fight. He's simply a devil. Ji Qingming's face was livid. He cursed in anger. You're a F***king psychopath. Lin Chen even winked at him and smiled coquettishly. Come on, aren't you awesome? Jump. Then, Lin Chen circled to the back of the others and launched another round of violent attacks. It's broad daylight and the world is clear. This is too abnormal. He's crazy. He's worse than a beast. Many male disciples subconsciously covered their buttocks, feeling disgusted. They swore that they would never fight with Lin Chen again in their lives. Some disciples even looked at Su Lan and her sister with pity and pity. How much would these two beauties, who were devastatingly beautiful, fall into the hands of such a devil? Feeling those strange gazes, Su Lan couldn't help but facepalm. Her sister, Su Lan, covered her mouth to stifle her laughter. Ji Qingming was extremely frustrated. He couldn't help but ask angrily, "What's this? What kind of fist technique is this?" It's 2F***king frustrating. This guy's attacks were very strange. Sometimes his attack power would increase tremendously. Sometimes he'd use pure strength to affect his body. He, Ji Qingming, had never seen such a strange body-tempering emperor. Don't ask. If you do, I'll punch your buttocks. As he laughed coldly, Lin Chen moved behind Ji Qingming at lightning speed. His fists were like a violent storm as he activated the Seven Vanity Force and launched a barrage of attacks. Ji Qingming turned his sword around and forcefully blocked the attacks. Countless disciples felt their scalps go numb as they sucked in cold air. Why does he like to attack people from behind so much? You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.